This is it. I finally found the dungeon entrance to the Intel Esports Arena in Burbank, California. Welcome everybody to the Trinity Series Season 2 Finals. Months ago, we began with 8 teams, 24 competitors, and now we are down to just 4 remaining squads. We have new faces and plenty of new cards, and new setting to boot. Joining us in the finals, we have reigning champion from Season 1, Team Complexity. Can they repeat once again and claim $150,000 prize pool here? Will it be Team Love You Lots? Will it be Team Virtus.Pro or Team Liqui? And if you see something familiar, maybe a sense of deja vu, that's because we have the same exact 4 teams as we did in Season 1. Perhaps a repeat, perhaps a new champion will be in our midst. We mentioned plenty of treasures and troves to be plundered. We have $150,000 US on the line, the largest team league in Hearthstone by far. $75,000 for first place, but worry not for the 3rd and 4th place finishers. They too will get $15,000. But with a lot of money and pride on the line, you can bet that the stakes have never been higher. My name is Frodan. I am one of the many dungeon plunderers for this weekend, and joining with me is TJ and Admirable over at the Trinity Series Museum.
Thanks very much, Dan. That's right. We're live here from the Intel Esports Arena where, you know, the theme is set. Kobolds and Catacombs. And Nathan, I couldn't be more excited.
Less than 24 hours to submit decks for 9 classes is what the teams had. That is quite a daunting task. Just alone playing throughout the round-robin season and having 9 classes prepared every single week was a tough one. But here, they got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and of course, none of this amazing set, the prize pool, or the players would not be able to be here without our sponsors. Trinity Series, of course, is brought to you by Intel, ESL, and Twitch. So a big shout out to them. And, you know, being able to put this shindig together within 24 hours of an expansion is pretty crazy. And I think that's the big story coming into this weekend for these players is how they're going to adapt. Let's go ahead and take a look. The live finals is a 4-team double elimination bracket that's going to be played out over the next 3 days. Kobolds and Catacombs is live and available for the players to use. And of course, the grand finals, the team that comes from the winner bracket, will begin the grand finals with a 1-game win advantage for not having lost a match coming into the grand finals. So definitely a lot online.
And take no question about it, that is a huge advantage that you get for going undefeated in matches leading up to that finals point. The difference between 5 and 6 games is massive. Teams that have gone up 2 wins in a set have tended to take the series after that.
Yeah, and we talked about it, Kobolds and Catacombs. How these players are going to adapt to just having a day, 1 day, to play with these cards and put them in their decks. And we're going to take a look at some of the additions with the new expansion. You can take a look at some of the legendary weapons here, like Woe Cleaver, the Warrior Legendary, possibly spawning a new archetype in Big Warrior.
And if your class did not have a weapon before, it does now. Every single class has a legendary weapon. And while some of them still hit your opponent in the face, some of them don't do that at all. And I think rightfully so. Take a look at Skull of the Minari. It's one of my favorite ones. Summoning a demon from your hand, a very powerful effect. And Rockdalar, I think one of the surprising archetypes that is actually performing on day 1.
Yeah, Spell Hunter is cleaning up on ladder. We'll see if it does the same in a tournament setting. Dragon Soul, a.k.a. Kibler Soul. Twig of the World Tree, which has spawned some really interesting kind of OTK druids. And Kingsbane, which has been a favorite amongst a lot of early testers for Rogue. So definitely some things to shake the meta up.
Yeah, but that's not all. There's plenty more card types that have been introduced as well, with the Spellstones, for instance, cards that upgrade throughout the game as you complete the objective that you can see in parentheses.
Yeah, and we're starting off with a couple, powerful ones. The Warlock one specifically allows you to gain a little bit of health as the game goes on, and I think the big one here is the Hunter. A lot of people talk about, the Spell Hunter decks, but being able to play early Secrets and then fill a board with 3/3 Wolves, a lot of times you find it with tracking and it can blow your opponent out.
Now, you saw the lesser one from Shaman as well, though. I was blown out by 4 Alakirs yesterday while I was playing some games on ladder.
Yeah, and rounding it off with some of the ones that haven't been tested as much, but we'll take a look at some of the neutral legendaries now. And the neutral legendaries in this expansion are kind of crazy. I think King Togwaggle, I don't think we'll be seeing any decks with King Togwaggle. Swap decks with your opponent, and you give them a ransom spell to swap it back. So they basically have to spend, I believe, 5 mana to swap their deck back and get their own cards back.
Yeah, so you take their deck, you explore and Goro. When they take it back, you Geist them.
That's right. And, of course, honorable mention to the dankness on the far right. That card is probably going to find its way into some terrible decks.
Master Oakheart, though, has been a big talk. What can you recruit at a 1-power, 2-power, and 3-power slot that really combined can get some work done? Like, this was in the same deck where I was talking about I was blown up by Alakir with the Spellstone from Shaman. This was a key essential piece of that. He got Alakir from his deck when he played Master Oakheart, and it just blew me straight up.
I think Master Oakheart also in Warlock, being able to pull Rin or Tar Creeper and any 2-attack minion. Usually Vulgar Homunculus is in that sort of control Warlock spot. So I think it's a card that we're going to be seeing more and experimented with more as the expansion goes on. But to get some words with the players on their thoughts about having only 24 hours to build decks, let's go ahead and send it over to Frodan with Trinity Tonight.
Thank you very much, TJ and Honorable. I am Frodan. I'm here on the Trinity Tonight desk, joined by members of our first 2 competitive teams that are going to be playing in the best of 11. I have Tyler, a new addition to Complexity for this season. We have Crane and Bunny Hopper, who are part of their respective squads in Season 1. So I'm going to go ahead and toss the first question to the newcomer, Tyler. How are you feeling adjusting live in person in the studio? Do you feel ready to go for the competition?
I feel ready. I mean, I'm on 4 hours of sleep and 2 big coffees, but I feel ready.
Is the 4 hours sleep because of jet lag, or is it because you've just been testing and playing?
No, because we've been playing all day yesterday. Yeah.
The grinding skills really come into handy here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that what it is? For people who don't know, Tyler's used to playing long hours, always hitting #1 legend or being first to hit legends. So I'm sure you feel right at home. Crane, how do you guys feel going into Season 2? There's a lot of expectation. I predicted Complexity to win again. Do you feel like things are falling into place for perhaps another run like that?
Well, we're in top 4, so yeah, so far things have fallen in place, but there's still a long way to go. So.
Okay. Do you feel like you guys are at the same level of strength that you were in Season 1, or actually just kind of tap into the mindset? Like, what's different, obviously, besides the different players and different metas, but has anything changed from the first finals to the second finals?
I think, like, whenever you switch one player on a 3-player team, that's, like, a big difference. So in terms of, like, team dynamic, a lot has changed. And you gotta, like, figure out a way to perform as a team and, like, work as a group. So a lot of things have changed, but we're still, the same strong team. So at the same time, not a lot have changed, probably, if you look at from the outside. But as a player on the team, yeah, it's different.
All right. Well, he's giving you a lot of credit, Tyler, for his success so far. And, Bunny Hopper, we've been talking to 2 members of Complexity. What's the past 24 hours been like for you?
A lot of testing. Not that much sleep, same as Tyler said. Yeah, trying to make the best of the new set. When, like, what do we have? 21 hours in total to submit decks from when they came out.
It's the most exciting, for sure. Do you feel like it plays into your strengths as a player more, or would you have preferred a little bit more time?
Well, a little bit more time would have always been nice, but then we all given the same. And that's quite a new challenge. I think it suits the score as well.
All right. Well, if you don't want to wait too long, I think all the other team members are ready to go. So thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in your first match. And remember, it's double elimination. So even if either team loses, we'll see him again on day 2 in the lower bracket, if that's the case. And, of course, the winner will move on to winter finals. We're going to head over back to TJ and Annabelle in the museum.
Thanks very much. Complexity looking for the repeat. And, interesting tidbit about Season 2 Trinity Series Finals is it's basically the same teams.
It is basically the same team. So Love You Lots was under a different banner, and each team has had 1 player swapped out in their roster. But 8 of the 12 players are seeing that repeat performance in the top 4 at Trinity. You give people a round-robin stage, and you give them enough room to maneuver, prepare decks, and give them a long enough series, and you will see the teams that perform better come out on top.
Yeah, that's right. And taking a look at the bracket, of course, you saw it. Complexity versus Virtus.Pro will be the first match of the day. And then rounding off later this afternoon, we're going to see Love You Lots taking on Team Liquid for the second match. Again, it is a double elimination bracket, and the team that makes to the grand finals from the winner side of the bracket does get a 1-game advantage in the finals. So there is a pretty big advantage for winning out and making it to the finals in the quickest path possible.
Yeah, I think that this first match really sets the tone for the rest of your Trinity series. And make no mistake about it, there is a lot of money up for grabs. So each match just increasingly is worth more and more dollar value to these teams. And It's important to keep a cool head. I think it's important to be having fun, but winning is one of your main focuses of this event as well. This is a serious amount of cash on the line. And so I can't wait to see what players have brought to this. Like, are they willing to take those giant risks and play something crazy? Or are we going to see them take it a little bit safe in some areas?
I think you got to take risks, man. It's a new set. There's a lot of powerful cards in this set. A lot of players are calling this one of the most powerful sets, or at least one of the sets that's going to change the meta up the most in recent times. So definitely a cool thing. But it's time to start talking about the first matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Complexity versus Virtus.Pro, and we're getting into picks and bans.
Now, this is where Trinity really happens. 9 classes represented across the board for both teams. At the start of the match, they're going to ban 2 of the opposing classes, and they won't be available for play. With the 7 remaining, they'll choose 6 to come to battle with, which means they'll leave one of them behind. From there, they'll play a set where the first team to take 6 wins is going to win the match.
That's right. Best of 11, essentially. And let's go ahead and take a look at the first ban. Priest. To be honest, I feel like that's not really a surprise. Priest was very well situated in the previous meta, and it just got tools that sort of helped it along that path. I think Psychic Scream, the 7-mana removal spell, well, effectively removal spell, just shuffles your opponent's minions back in their deck. I think it just made Priest a little bit more powerful. Not surprised to see it out of the way.
Yeah, shuffles all minions into your opponent's deck, including the ones that you have in play. So if you have any garbage minions of your own in play that were serving utility, your opponent can now draw those minions. And Druid being banned secondarily, these decks really got reinforced, I think, with a lot of the cards from Kobolds and Catacombs. Their shells are still quite strong. And again, with under 24 hours to prepare, I imagine teams have not been able to experiment enough to find a deck that really tackles these choices. But the self-ban here, take a look at this.
Wow. All right. So Shaman is self-banned away from Complexity. This one I'm actually not surprised about, considering a lot of players couldn't find a Shaman list they agreed on this early. Shaman usually is the deck that needs a little bit more experimenting, but Hunter excluded from Virtus.Pro, which is weird considering that Hunter has been one of the best performing decks in the first day. I guess it's only 1 day of play, but Virtus.Pro deciding not to play it.
You have to think about how many games get played on the first day, though. You take a look at a website like HS Replay, and the stats that they have across the board for data. Hunter put up actually the best win rate across the board on day number 1, and that's still a significant sample size of games taking place, albeit a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
I think that Hunter is quite powerful personally. I played a lot of it last night, and I played against it quite a bit. Not sure where it sits, but interesting to see it banned out and it stay for Complexity.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hear from Complexity as they get ready for their match on the stage with Frodan.
Thank you very much, TJ and Admirable. The bans and picks are in. And I don't want you to talk about too much about their strategy, but did anything surprise you on either end here?
I guess the self-ban surprised me a bit with the Honda, because it's performed like pretty decent for people.
Do you think it's kind of weird that everyone was so up in arms about Hunter, and now we're even considering? Well, I mean, you guys have it in your roster, so you might be playing it this series.
It's always gonna be interesting with the new set. So like, I wasn't gonna be surprised by much of anything, honestly. And it's also just after the first day, so it's very much just a little bit just what seems to be the easiest to build, honestly. So.
And in a game where you need every single edge, do you feel like that self-ban will give you guys the edge?
I don't think that's where the edge comes from, but hopefully we'll win anyways.
All right, doesn't feel like the difference will make a difference. Back over to you, TJ.
Thanks very much, Dan. Interesting to hear, Crane just seems unsure about everything. He's like, I don't know if it'll give us an edge or not. We don't really know. Nobody really knows. What is everybody going to bring?
He seems quite sure at the same time, though. Crane's going to be on Paladin Mage. Mr. Yagu going to be on Rogue and Warrior. Tyler going to be on Warlock and Hunter. Even though they're piloting these decks individually and ultimately have the final say, they often act in a delegation. They discuss the plays, they take votes, and they come to a conclusion about what play they should make. Sometimes they leave it up to the specialist, but on day 1 of a new set, specialists might be out the window.
Yeah, I don't think there really is any specialists on these decks, but now let's go ahead and hear from Complexity's opponents, Virtus.Pro, as they stand by with Frodan.
I'm over here with Casey, who represents Complexity, but on Virtus.Pro due to the mid-season roster change. We've talked a lot about that. It's a little bit weird now that you're actually here in the studio wearing the jersey, sitting across some of your teammates.
It's a little bit weird, but I like winning, and I'm happy that I'm playing versus Crane. Because I'm gonna put the 0 into behind his numbers. Crane 033.
Ooh, that's fighting words. I don't think I need to ask any more questions there, Casey. Good luck in your match. And may the odds be in your favor. Let's head over back to the museum.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Crane 0 and 333. That'd be a lot of losses, Casey.
Yeah, but you can take a look. Naaman will be piloting Warlock Paladin, Casey on Rogue and Warrior, and Bunny Hopper on Shaman and Mage. So quite interesting. And again, no Hunter in their lineup. And I think Shaman is sort of the big question mark. We talked a lot about Spellstone and the Snow Fury Giants as part of an overload control Shaman. But I'm curious as to where this is going to be. Evolved Shaman still could be a powerful archetype. But I mean, we could speculate for days on every single one of these classes because of how much Kobolds and Catacombs shook things up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll get to the match in about 48 hours while TJ and I talk about speculation. Just kidding.
So what's your favorite card so far that you've enjoyed experimenting with that you hope to see?
I love Kingsbane. I think Kingsbane is absolutely my favorite card in the set. The idea of putting buffs on it with Deadly Poison and Leeching Poison as I was doing last night, and continuing to get that over and over again is just so satisfying to me. I actually fatigued a Big Priest by playing the Kingsbane with Leeching Poison and Double Poison, and then just activating my hero power and shuffling the Kingsbane back into the deck.
Yep. And I think in a similar vein, I like Shiny Finder.
I love that card.
Which is the card that allows you to pull a weapon into your hand.
It's basically a 3/1 Kingsbane.
Sure.
2-mana 3/1 minion that summons a 1/3 Kingsbane, or a 5/3 Kingsbane.
The deck that I've liked playing around with is with Shadow Steps. So you play the Shiny Finder, Shadow Step it, Kingsbane, just hit him in the face. As soon as your Kingsbane's out of charges, Shiny Finder again. Hit him in the face. Shadow Step, Shiny Finder again.
Shiny Man, get a Kingsman, hit him in the face, man.
Shiny Man, Kingsman.
Face Man.
Face Man.
Yep. Good deck. You can see teams getting ready there. This is like the nerve-wracking moment where you're sitting down and you're going, are we really playing for this much money after one day?
I sure hope our decks are good, guys.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Did we really submit these fatigue decks, these weird combo decks? I don't know what they've submitted. The deck lists are closed off to the players.
Yeah.
And they will remain so throughout. Each round, the players have an opportunity to resubmit their... I'm sorry, each day, the players have an opportunity to resubmit deck lists. So we'll see how they adapt to the circumstances and feel about it afterwards.
All right, well, there are minions in that Hunter deck, so it is not a Spell Hunter.
Yeah, it looks like we have a bit of an issue. Mr. Yagu calling for some assistance here, so we'll get this figured out right away. I will say that in Virtus.Pro spot, though, Murloc Paladin, still quite powerful.
Yeah. I went up to the teams before, and I was like, you guys better not be playing non-Kobolds decks. They're like, no, we're playing, all of our decks have 30 Kobolds and Catacombs cards.
Yeah, well, as you get a glance at the reconnect feature that's been introduced in friendly matches, a timer now begins as players disconnect, so they're able to reconnect to the match and continue from where they sat. I love that feature.
It was tucked into the patch notes, and when the patch notes were released, not many people, they were so excited that this was the pre-patch for Kobolds and Catacombs, they kind of just skimmed over it. But it is a big feature. It means a lot for competitive Hearthstone. It means that, you know, no longer will we have all these debates about disconnects because players will have time to get back into the game and not lose turns. So definitely a cool thing. And we're just testing it out. First game of the day.
Yeah, just testing it out. Right here, live for you guys.
Making sure it works all right.
What's been your favorite card from the set so far?
That was the same thing. My answer was exactly the same.
Kingsbane.
Kingsbane.
Dang it!
The Lesser Spellstone for Hunter also has been good. And Complexity's win percentages across the board as we take a look. This is over the course of the regular season, and Hunter and Paladin have been putting in the majority of the work.
Which is surprising to see. I mean, Hunter didn't put in the majority of the work. It's just the set that they queued it up. It performed very, very well for them. They had to take a risk with it, and it just continued to rack up win after win after win. And their draws looked like fire. If you went back and watched Week 7 with their Hunter performance, you would have guessed that Hunter was a Tier 1 deck if you hadn't seen the meta before.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Hunter was quite a weak deck in the Knights of the Frozen Throne meta, but the timing of that deck was, I think, paramount to Complexity's success throughout. Yeah,
you can just take a look at their win rates across the Trinity Series average. But as an update to you guys, it looks like we did just have a small account issue, so we'll be getting that switched and logged in, and then we should be right back into the game. So don't worry, we'll be getting underway with game number 1 in just a few moments. We just want the players to sort of steam a little bit.
It's like ice in the kicker. Hashtag sports ball.
Sports ball! Actually, Admiral, I'm a big fan of sports ball.
Specifically,
the good kind.
My favorite sport, the good kind, yeah. I will admit, Yagut is not really like a nervous kind of guy, but I don't know. Something about him looks nervous there. And I'm watching Crane just fidget with that pen. That's what I do too. When I have a pen in my hand and I cast, I just can't stop messing with it.
Yeah.
That's why I wear 2 rings, so I can fidget with both of them at the same time.
Insight into the secrets behind the Admiral. That's admirable. As we wait, we'll take a look at Virtus.Pro's win percentage throughout the regular season. And theirs were much more average across the board.
Is that Warlock one correct?
0%. 0 wins with Warlock.
That's like it's honestly kind of crazy that they made it into the top 4 without Warlock performing, because that was like an essential deck throughout the regular season to a lot of teams. Teams were bringing back series, they were pulling way ahead. That was one of I think the most pivotal decks within Trinity series, because there were so many different ways to build it that the timing of it and what you were trying to do with your lineup became paramount to actually winning the set.
Yeah, it was the most customizable deck. And you could tell from that graphic that Warlock across the entire Trinity series throughout the regular season was the highest win rate deck. So for them having 0, I don't know, maybe they're going to try and shake things up with some crazy Kobolds Warlocks. Maybe Zoo got some tools, but Control Walker also got some pretty nice tools.
Yo, that little 2/1 guy is Madhouse. 1 mana 2/1 Kobold that says deal yourself 2 damage, draw a card.
The Kobold Librarian. Also, Vulgar Homunculus is pretty good as well. The 2/4 that damages your hero for 2 mana.
With Taunt?
With Taunt, yeah. And now it does sort of not let you play Prince Kaliseth, but it's really good.
If you're playing like the Hellfire Twisting the other stuff, that's just extra taunt fodder.
Sure.
For when you play that Blood River Gul'dan.
Also, it can be pulled out by Master Oakheart without dealing yourself 2 damage.
That's right.
Because you're recruiting it from your deck.
Can't ignore the 3/9 either. I don't know his name quite yet. Again, it's a day in the release, so it's a 9 mana 3/9 demon. Death Rattle, summon 3 Voidwalkers.
It's like, just put Void or Kobold into everything. Void Kobold Aran.
Giant Void Kobold man.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into it. And Complexity. Looks like some variation of Secret Hunter, but not a full Spell Hunter. Because we see Cloaked Huntress. Now, a lot of players were experimenting with the Spell Hunter early on. And they were like, oh man, this no minion hunter deck is great. But I think the all-star of that deck was not the Rockdalar or the To My Side. It's definitely the Spellstone. Because being able to track for a Spellstone early, play a bunch of early secrets, and then load up the board with wolves is how you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, in order for Spellstones to upgrade, they do need to be in your hand as you complete the objective, which is an important notion of them. For like the lesser Spellstone here, it's a 5 mana card that Complexity is keeping in their hand. That's not something that will help them early. It's something that helps give them a game plan as they move along. So I think the Spellstones are quite interesting cards in the grand scheme of things, because they give you a different way to play the game. You have an objective with not only your opening hand, but also how you want to sequence throughout. Sometimes that sequence will be very powerful, and you don't need to think much about it. In the case of Cloaked Huntress, for instance. But they do need secrets to make that powerful, and in the meantime, it's just a 5 mana card.
But a powerful one, at the very least, once you get those secrets online. But Complexity, they can track you into a secret here and be able to play that with Cloaked Huntress. Also, there was another pretty powerful secret that the secret that whenever your opponent attacks, it'll put a random 3-cost minion in place of whatever target they had attacked.
Wandering Monster.
Wandering Monster, yes.
Love that card.
And it's really good because not only does it disrupt your opponent's turn, but you're also getting effectively a 3-mana minion for 2 mana.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's more of a disruption style of effect than anything else, but it does service as sometimes acceleration. I got some crazy minions off it last night. I got some very weak minions off it last night. And in one of the matches, I had a Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, which saved me from lethal. In one of the matches, I got a Manatide Totem, which ended up sticking around. In one of the matches, I just got a Mukla, and the Rogue domed himself for 5. I was pretty happy with that.
Yep.
A big thing to note, though, is that Tempo Rogue is still one of the better decks in the format, I would say. If your opponent attacks into Wandering Monster, it's no longer vulnerable to backstab at that point. So it's actually a minion that oftentimes is immune to backstab on that first turn as well.
Yeah, so definitely a good card, a secret that's been making its way into a lot of these spell-heavy hunter decks. And Complexity does pick that off of the tracking. And we got a little bit of information about the rest of their deck. Flanking Strike, deal 4 damage.
It's 4 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion.
Deal 3 damage, and summon a 3/3. And that 3/3 is also a beast. So it's great. It's just sort of a great tempo tool, and it fills a void that Hunter didn't have in the past.
Yeah, and I really like the design of that card. You know, contrasting it with, say, like, I'll use a more powerful example here, Ultimate Infestation. The fact that it can't hit face means that you have to be reactive with it. If Ultimate Infestation was a card that put you in a position where you could not hit face with it, that card would have some weird counterplay game where you just don't put anything on your board.
That's right, and as we get towards these tougher turns, let's go now and listen into Complexity to see how they want to handle this turn 2.
Yeah, it's never just go Liqui into 3/4 secret, hopefully secret, and then coin Spellstone. I like coin weapon as well.
It's like getting the extra weapon charge is also valuable, right?
Even another thing is if they do play Wally the next turn, then we wouldn't be able to play Spellstone on 4 anyways with the coin.
Exactly.
So we should always coin the weapon, yeah. Like it.
How many secrets do you have again? 6?
6.
It's quite interesting, right?
I think I still go tactical. If they could play the trap, if it's a close trap, the next turn, then I'm gonna go steer.
And they also have to use their bow. If they don't, they just die. Yeah, I like it.
Position, I'm gonna put the tactical to the right. No.
You can't choose with the hero power, that's the problem.
Let me think.
You can't play around the bite. The only way you can play around the bite is if you put the mild card tile color to the left. And then the hero power, because then you don't die to Grieveness Wise.
Yep.
So you put this to the left.
Virtus.Pro talking about Grievous Bite. I think they might think that this is a Spell Hunter. Tracking and then Bow is really all they saw. Of course, Cloaked Huntress is going to give it away. But definitely something to keep in mind.
Well, you also heard Mr. Yagut ask, wait, how many secrets are in effect again?
6.
It's 9 classes is a lot to prepare for, again, 1 day.
Yeah.
That is, what's 9 times 30? 270?
It's about 500.
Thanks, TJ. Yeah, 270 cards that they had to opt into playing with a brand new set release. That is a daunting task. And you know, what's the call for a tournament like this? It's anyone's guess at this point. They've had time to prepare. It's about intuition. It's about finding the right combination.
It's about heart.
Quickly.
Agreed.
It's about gusto.
I like the word gusto. I don't know what it is. Something about that word. And you heard Virtus.Pro say it. They have to kill this Murloc Tidecaller or else they just die. And Complexity agrees. And frankly, I agree as well. If they did not kill that Tidecaller, they would have suffered probably a lot of damage.
That Wandering Monster could put a wrench in a lot of their plans. You know, it's a great tool to fight for the board because not only does it disrupt your opponent's turn and maybe even contest a minion, if it survives, it can also contest the other one. So let's see if Virtus.Pro has Wandering Monster on their mind and see how they want to play around it.
The Cold Light Seer first, does that make a difference? Would that be? No. Yeah.
If it's exploded chat, the only way. Yeah. But I can play
and then if it's
in the hero power.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure it's the chat.
Wandering Monster, okay.
Face the airs of magic.
It's available.
So I'll play Hydrologist and hero power.
I like it.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe the Color Series is better.
But it dies so easily to the 3/4.
Yeah.
Let's play Hydrologist. We might play Secret actually.
What kind of secret do we want?
Get Down. I'd probably play that actually. Or Redemption.
Yeah.
Redemption, yeah.
Do you play Secret? No.
No. I like this. This is good.
Supposed to go like a hero power? Value pump?
Yes, that's my first instinct, but
Because like we played a thing on 5, right? And then it's very likely we get the Houndmaster guy.
They might Kobolds, right? Like it's pretty likely that they Kobold or something. Or Finja.
Yeah, which means we always play that on 5.
It's like, is it ever kill I think it's like either kill command or Golaka.
Yep.
But Golaka fights pretty well on the board, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like,
Yeah, I think Golak is fine.
yeah, I agree.
Does it matter which one I played?
Yeah,
Kills
the one
it.
with the most health.
That one, right?
Yep.
There are some secrets where it's maybe better to kill the other, but...
I think this way, for sure.
You like this?
Yeah, we can get HP, we can get...
I like double adapting.
Double adapt? I like adapting.
I don't know, +1/+1 is good.
Yeah.
Health is good.
Yes.
You can play Redemption with it,
Okay.
right? Divine Shield is like meh, but it's like good-ish.
It's fine.
Attack is fine.
No.
Oh
No,
wow,
no,
those are
HP.
all the good options.
+1/+1, right?
+1/+1, the best
Yeah.
one, I think.
Because it clears the board.
Yeah.
Isn't Divine Shield also like insane?
Yeah, but with Divine Shield, you don't clear the board. in
Also
the-
health is pretty good actually.
Health,
I like
you don't clear the board.
Yeah.
+1, +1.
They run Houndmaster probably still, right?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Then +1/+1. I don't think we played the secret for sure.
Yeah, sure. If you get a steed off next turn, we're super happy.
Was that the last cap card? One of the ones?
No, I think they still have one, right?
Yeah, but like if the alright, let's think about this.
Ever kill command Catwick?
Just want to buff up the card.
Yeah.
You don't like just playing the 5 mana one?
Well, it's either that or it's kill command Catwick.
So 5 mana one dies for free and one gets value trade. So we only got like a 3/3 left to contest this.
Yeah. And we make it 3/3 by using the secret this turn, right? Is the
Yeah.
thing that I like.
Yeah, we can Catwick.
It's like a bit squishier.
That was the beginning of Complexity's turn, was just a bunch of size. And they're trying to adapt to playing essentially what is a new archetype. You know, the players playing around with these spellstones. Do you upgrade it? Do you unleash it right away for a little bit less value, but get it on the board? And they opt to go for the cat trick. You heard them saying, well, it's a 3/3. And if they play spell next turn, we also get a 4/2. So they hold on to the spellstone for now, but I worry that they might get a little bit too far behind on the board.
You know, something that was big was the Galaka Crawler rather than the Houndmaster. Landing Houndmaster value is super important, but had they played that Houndmaster, there wouldn't have been a full clear plus minion on board for Virtus.Pro. You know, how much would that have changed the game? Because on turn 5, they would have had access to Galactic Crawler Kill Command to deal with the Gentle Megasaur afterwards. That little tiny play is changed into this sequence of events where Virtus.Pro now has an opportunity to land a Spike Ridge Seed, and that's exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, and Complexity's reasoning behind playing the Galactic Crawl and holding onto the Houndmaster was that they're going to play Spellstone on 5 and then be able to Houndmaster a target on 6. But they changed that game plan, and you know, maybe Houndmaster would have left them in a better spot.
And now they're being threatened by Lethal.
Lethal damage. They're dead unless they
Kill Command a 2/1.
And they're not going to do that. Well, they have to, actually, because there's lethal presented on board. It's not even a concealed lethal. It's just 15 damage on board, and
I wonder.
It's good old Murloc Paladin.
It's a good deck.
No kobolds and catacombs in this deck, at least from what we've seen.
Well fought.
And they concede. Virtus.Pro takes game 1.
And very decisively as well. Cobalts and Catacombs, perhaps.
Yeah, I think we just misunderstood the whole meaning behind the expansion.
That card is still very good. There's no question about it. 5 mana, 5/5. That puts 3 extra power on board if you got a minion. I mean, that's basically a Bittertide Hydra that doesn't deal you damage.
Yeah. Great point, Admirable. But now it's whether or not Complexity can have something in their tool chest of new decks to answer Murloc Paladin.
Now, mind you, Virtus.Pro left behind their Hunter as well. And Hunter was brought out in game number 1, and it dropped the game for Complexity. Was it correct to bring the Hunter in?
I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point. We're going to need to see the whole picture from these decks. But Virtus.Pro, again, last year's standing will be on the Paladin once again. And it'll be up to Complexity to find a deck that's going to beat it.
Yeah, there's a lot of decks out there that fight Murloc Paladin very well. I would think that coming into this event, this was not a deck you ignored as a real possibility. I've seen some new archetypes of Paladin coming out as well with the Silverhand recruits and powering out Crystal Lion, which is a card I vastly underestimated myself until the first time I got beat down by it. But Murloc Paladin in an event like this is still going to be very strong. And so having something to fight against it, I think that Complexity's got to have plenty of it.
Maybe Rogue.
It's pretty good.
Tempo Rogue was sort of a great counter deck to the Paladin. Tempo Rogue itself didn't really get many tools. I think the tools that Rogue got were more for the other archetypes. I don't know if like Kingsbane, for instance, necessarily fits into a Tempo Rogue, but it is quite possible. Miracle Rogue did get some extra tools with the Faldori Strider, which is shuffles the 3 sort of self-ambushes in your deck, so the more you cycle, the more minions essentially you have, and Miracle Rogues become more of an overwhelm your opponent instead of play and jam some Arcane Giants and hope that they don't have Shadowy Brand to win.
Arcane Giant's still good, though.
They're still good, yeah.
He's the old guy, though. Snow Fury Giant's the new giant in town.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Hopefully.
If Shaman's brought, I'm calling it. It's Snow Fury Giants.
Or Evolve.
Nah, Snow Fury. Look at Casey real quick. I want you to think about his history with N'Zoth. Summoning multiple Snow Fury Giants in one turn is basically N'Zoth without having to kill your own stuff first.
You're right.
Yeah. Just look at him. I'm telling you. He's a Snow Fury Giant gamer.
We'll see. Only time will tell. But now I think the big question is, Complexity, what's next?
Ooh, that's a great shot right there. I am loving that. Let's get into game 2.
The Hooked Reaver. If you have 15 or less health, gain +3/+3 on your taunt.
Is it
yes.
Hooked? Is that right?
Yeah, I think you can pronounce it both ways.
Yeah, Crooked Reaver.
Hooked or hooked. I think both are correct.
It does look pretty hooked.
The one thing I like about the English language is that you can basically bend it to however you want.
Yeah, that's what Sottle told me.
You can just say anything and say, well, that's how the British people say it. And they'll believe you.
They're British.
Yeah.
It's a pretty strong opening hand, though, as we get a glimpse at Complexity. The Kobold Librarian, middle card in the hand, that 1 mana 2/1 that Battlecry deal yourself 2 damage, but you get to draw a card. He life taps.
He does.
Thanks, Kobold Librarian.
You're the real hero here. But Grimscale Chum started off for the team of Virtus.Pro, and yet again, we have yet to see a single card from the new set in Virtus.Pro's Murloc Paladin. We'll see if they decided to include anything, but
TJ, Kobolds and Catacombs.
That's right. And so one thing about Kobolds and Catacombs is there was not a single Murloc or Pirate released in the set.
Well, they've all been eaten by Galactic Crawlers and Hungry Crabs by this point. The only ones left in existence are... They're in the mean streets of Gadgetzan.
There's the
start there.
Vulgar Homunculus, the 2 mana, 2/4 with Taunt that deals 2 damage to your hero.
Like that card. It's a lot of stats for 2 mana.
It is. It's 1 health and Taunt above average.
It's quite good.
Quite.
Especially when you consider the Blood Reaver Gul'dan towards the end. Just extra staying power in the face of minion pressure.
Yeah. Whereas in the past, Woodwalker was the demon you relied on to block damage.
That! It's a big deal, too. Now with those damage themselves cards, the upgrade on that Spellstone is having your cards deal yourself damage. Not your life tap, but your actual cards.
Yeah, the the Spellstone for Warlock upgrades and deals damage and has lifesteal. So effectively, once it's upgraded all the way, it can be a really big swing.
7 damage, I believe?
7 damage, yeah.
What's the middle mode?
I thought it was 3. Was it 357?
Is it 357? I wanted to say it was started at 4, but we're a day into release. Yeah, it goes to 4, 5.5, and then 7.
Beer back real quick. I'm going to go queue up a game with Warlock. And see.
I can attest to the fact that TJ actually does have his phone out right now, so.
I believe it's 357.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yep, 357.
Nice little turn here for Complexity. Get 2 minions on board to contest.
And keep in mind also with the lesser Amethyst Spellstone, which is now an Amethyst Spellstone, and will eventually be a greater Amethyst Spellstone. It does not work with your hero power. It reads that you have to damage yourself with your cards in order to gain the effect. So you can't just life tap and buff up the Spellstone. It has to be from cards like Kobold Librarian or the Vulgar Homunculus. There it is. Take damage from your cards to upgrade.
That's where Dan came from. Look in the background. I was wondering how he got there.
He came from the place that we placed the cards.
Yeah. That's where they're located. That is the catacomb. Or one of them, rather. Plural, S, catacombs. As they plunder their way through. Virtus.Pro, clunky ant.
Yeah, this deck seems like it's much more equipped to deal with Murloc Paladin than the Hunter deck was. Hunter has always been in this place where if it falls behind, it does quite poorly. Lives and dies by the board since it doesn't have a hero power that affects the board.
Trading up, too. That's quite interesting. I'd say from Virtus.Pro. Looks like they want to attack and kill and then use the other rock pool in the following turn. Maybe kill a Vulgar Homunculus, for instance.
Well spotted.
Tar Creeper, be able to attack and then use the Rallying Blade.
Not as well spotted.
I'll tell you what, Complexity's hand is looking awfully good for this matchup, though. Virtus.Pro did not have the blazing start they had in Game 1. A little bit of disruption for Complexity as well. And that's how this Control Warlock deck typically wants to function. It wants to rip apart early board synergies and then rely on its more powerful cards in the later stages to keep that control. It's a deck that you need to pressure down very significantly in the early game, or a deck where combo damage is something that it doesn't necessarily protect itself from against.
Yeah. Virtus.Pro gets the Gentle Megasaur off the top. They do get +3 health, which will let their Rockpool Hunter survive this attack. So yeah, that's actually a huge pickup because with the Rockpool Hunter in hand, they wouldn't have been able to buff it up to a health total that was large enough to be able to stop it from dying, being traded into the Tar Creeper.
Interesting turn here as well. Virtus.Pro could, in theory, preserve the Rallying Blade by just waiting. It's oftentimes one of the best strategies to use against Tar Creeper. It's just to wait. It's a very difficult card to push against, and it often results in building board tension. If you attack into Tar Creeper right away, you often yield it a significant amount of value that if you just wait and play higher value minions, sacrifice some damage, and then look to secure the board afterwards. With their hand as clunky as it is, I feel like they want to be in this mode where they're making some sacrifices, so that way they can actually have time to play these 7 mana cards safely. If they just simply wait right here, they may end up with a couple of dead turns.
Well, this turn, double Vulgar Homunculus is a possibility, but let's go ahead and listen into Complexity, see how they want to plan out these next couple turns.
Kind of like double 2. I like double 2 as well.
Yep.
I think tapping +2 is like a little too weak because we already got a turn 4 and potentially we can coin Abyssal on 6. I can see that being really strong.
The thing is that we contest the 3/2s and
Yeah, exactly. If we play 2 of them. Yeah, I just want to go double 2. I agree. It's definitely not Spellstone here. No.
You fight like a pro! Hey, work! Go away!
I like this one as well, but we don't need to attack with the weapon. But yeah, we buff and we trade. But do we equip the Rallying Blade?
I think so.
Yeah, same.
like it, right?
I think you just buff the rock pool and double trade.
Yes, but I'm gonna equip the Rhino Blade.
Let me think.
I mean, what can we draw? The Tyrion, that's basically it, which we won't be able to play. If we hero power, it's basically nothing, because if they AoE, it's still gonna die.
Yeah, like hero power, not hero power is the same, but the question is, do we want the Rattling Blade for something they could play? I'm not sure about it.
Like, it's better if we draw Tarim, Steed. A lot better with Fincher.
It's not better if we play Steed, right?
Yes, because we're gonna have double 7. We don't have time to play.
Yeah, we need to pick up a 5 or 6 drop then to make the Rattling Blade viable. I think we just equip it, right?
Yeah.
It's not really...
Maybe bump face.
No.
I don't think so.
Just to make them scared.
Make them scared.
I mean, I guess this is bad to any AoE. Also, Spellstone does 7 damage now, which like,
yeah, but
kind of sucks.
yeah, the spell zone. 5 cards. Okay.
It's like really bad for a curator.
And Complexity's got plenty of AoE. They're also talking about the Spellstone, so they know that Spellstone is a definite possibility. It's such a strong tool in control Warlocks that Virtus.Pro knows that that's a pretty obvious inclusion with the new set.
Yeah, something else that's a pretty obvious inclusion is Despicable Dreadlord. That card is still quite good. It would be traded off by a 5/1 Megasaur in this spot, but I'm curious where Complexity would find something else here to really play. This could be traded off by something else here as well.
And of course, we do have a Twitch poll, a meta report. This just in. A new question. Which class is favored? Demon, Killbolts, and Catacombs Warlock, or Murloc Paladin? Get your votes in now. Just type either Demon Warlock or Murloc Paladin into the chat exactly as you see on the screen. And we'll see what you guys think.
Orange or yellow text. You gotta.
Yeah, if you type Demon Warlock, make sure you type it with orange text. And if you type Murloc Paladin, make sure you type it with yellow text.
Blessing of Kings is a nice draw here for Virtus.Pro. Their turn was quite dead. You could imagine they drew like the 1-mana cards or the 2-mana cards.
Potentially even the 3-mana cards.
Or 7 and 8-mana cards.
We could be getting into the range of 9-mana cards after that.
Move quickly.
Well, you can see what chat thinks of the matchup.
I think they might be biased. I think chat's probably a little bit upset right now that Virtus.Pro is playing a deck that's from the last set. Like, we came here to see Kobolds and Catacombs. That's a lot of damage, but one thing that this does do is leave Virtus.Pro more vulnerable to the Spellstone, the lesser, it's Greater Amethyst Spellstone now, which is deal 7 damage to a minion and lifesteal that amount.
Yeah, that's a lot of life.
Yeah, now they are setting up for Bone Mare, so this could be a sort of a bait and saying, hey, if you have your Spellstone, this is a juicy target. And then next turn, they're just going to follow it up with a Bone Mare onto the Silverhand Recruit, which they played.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I think the Blessing of Kings was so big here. It was not only to press the extra damage and really put Complexity to the test, but it also allowed them to hero power to give them that Bone Mare turn. And that is a very crucial one where I'm curious where Complexity reacts to it. You know, say that they choose to go with Coin Abyssal Enforcer instead to try to contest post Bone Mare, they are going to die in that scenario. So that's not an option. They're looking at Siphon Soul and lesser spell, or the Greater Spellstone. And that's it.
Maybe they can, yeah. I was gonna say, like you mentioned, Siphon Soul and then save it, but being able to fit in a life tap here is big. And they pick up the Hooked Reaver with his hooked arm.
Well, it isn't necessarily active next turn. I mean, when it's active, it is a 7/7 taunt for 4. You have to have 15 or less health.
Yeah.
But if you don't have 15 or less health, it's just a 4/4 demon.
Without taunt.
Right.
Which is quite bad.
And so attacking with Rallying Blade here would be just the absolute punish on Virtus.Pro's side. No reason to attack with that weapon. They hang on, and things are still looking pretty good for them.
And now we're seeing some of the powerful cards in the new set. Void Lord, which is a 9-mana 3/9 taunt that summons 3 Voidwalkers when it dies. And Master Oakheart, which summons a 1, a 2, and a 3 cost, or 3 attack minion from your deck. So a lot of times your 1 attack minion is Tar Creeper. Your 2-attack minion is normally Vulgar Homunculus, but they've already played 2, so I wonder what other 2-attack minions they're playing.
Mistress or Librarian.
Mistress, yeah. And then 3-attack is usually the Void Lord, as you see, or Rin, the 50th, 110th Disciple.
Yeah. I think Master O card is going to prove to be one of the stronger cards for the late game in the set. Not only is it that 5/5 body, but just a lot of value otherwise. And this is a card that really benefits from building your deck properly.
Yeah, and a caster buzz term that I like to throw around a lot is deck thinning. It thins your deck. Gets you closer to Blood Reaver Ghouldan.
That is a real thing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the purpose for playing a card a lot of times, but that's a real thing that happens.
Yeah. And the way you build it with Warlock is it summons a bunch of taunts. So you're getting a 5/5, a Tar Creeper, a Void Lord or a Rin, and a Mistress for a single card at 9 mana.
Now, the one thing to keep in mind here is that Complexity has Void Lord in hand. That's the 3/9 taunt that summons the Void Walkers. If they don't have a second one, they will not be playing Master O card next turn.
Well, they have the Rin, which also has taunt.
It's true.
It's not as big of a body, and it doesn't get you the extra taunt minions after it dies, but it's still good, I'd say. We'll see what they decide to go with. They would have to use the coin, which could be a big resource depending on what they draw. And a Siphon Soul picked up, so maybe they decide to go for it again, but I think coin Master O card here is going to be the play.
That tells me there's 2 of them.
Let's see. Yep. Void Lord, the Kobold Librarian, and a Tar Creeper. So
that is a massive turn. However, the one thing to note is that Virtus.Pro has a lot of health-efficient minions in this spot, so I'm curious if they actually have the gas to fight through this. You know, Complexity was under a ton of pressure this game, but look at what ended up swinging this back. They had Siphon Soul for a minion. They had the Greater Spellstone to deal 7 and gain 7 health back, and now suddenly there is a massive amount of taunt in the way.
Let me think.
Another Twitch chat vote. Get your votes in. What would Paladin and Warlock's baby be named?
That says Paladoc or Warliden.
Or I guess if Paladin and Warlock were a celebrity couple.
What if we did the back halves instead? So it'd be Docliden. Or Lodendoc.
Lodendoc or...
Yeah, Pop
Warpala.
Pop Lodendocket.
I don't even know.
I feel
Redemption.
like the Adin is the key to the Paladin mashups. It's always something Adin.
That's admirable, Adin.
That was actually my original name, and the branding was just not strong enough to justify. It was too confusing, specifically for newer players.
Yes. Admirable is the reason why we only had 9 deck slots for such long. But Abyssal Enforcer looks very appealing in this board state. Let's go and listen into Complexity, see how they want to take it.
This value trades here. This value trades here. And this value trades here.
What about Abyssal?
Abyssal kills off our own board.
It only kills one of them.
Well, then you can Finja into the 3/5.
This is just really strong, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree as well. Yeah, I agree as well. I think it's stronger.
If we ever value trade the 5/5 in here, so here this and this at 3, then they have to use.
They never get to value trade the the 5/1 is actually good for us. Yeah, I agree with that.
Here, right?
Yeah.
Skill points turn. This way, it dies to half iron.
You just have to adapt, right?
Yeah.
Adapt first?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes.
I like it.
Poisonous.
Yeah, attack, right?
3 attack, yes.
We kill this one? We should, right?
You could kill the 1/3, right?
to the 1-3 and then...
Must move quickly.
Like, we are never beating the hero anyway.
Probably just like Seer and Redemption, right? Or Sigelra and Redemption. But Seer seems better. No, don't. Whatever. The hero power doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything, but at least we have to bring around some secrets. If you don't hero power, that's just do the same.
All we want is time now to see more cards from them, right?
Yeah. That 9-drop was pretty good.
Broken.
Hmm? Yeah.
Like the Void Lord is totally busted.
What do we show? Hellfire or Abyssal? Hellfire, right?
Yeah, I like showing the Hellfire the most.
And Lethal Damage present for Complexity. They just want to decide which of their cards to show that gives them the lethal damage. Is it Abyssal Enforcer or is it Hellfire? And they decide Hellfire is the card that they want to reveal because they're going to have to play this deck again. But Void Lord, aka Spreading Demons. It's pretty good.
Spreading Demons. I love how you've picked up on the term damage for me as well.
That was pretty funny, you know, because a reference to Spreading Plague.
12 by the way.
Spreading Demons. Get it?
Tie it up, though. Very dominant performance. Master Oakheart proves incredibly valuable. Put a 5/5 body on board. And then it also put a 3/9 taunt body on board, which puts 3 1/3 bodies on board. By the way, they also got a 1/5 body from it and a 2/1 body from it. Cool. Pretty good for 9 mana.
Yeah, and I think Warlock was the deck that a lot of players thought would be the best home for the Master Oakheart because arguably the most powerful 3-attack minion in the game in Void Lord with the new set. So Complexity now puts a win on the board. Had their early loss with Hunter, which is out of the way for them. But now, hopefully, we'll get to see from different stuff from Virtus.Pro. Do they have 6 decks with no Kobolds and Catacombs cards in them, or...
No, they don't. First of all, it's the third time I'm going to say it, and it's the last time I want to remind you, Cobalts and Catacombs. We saw Scalebane in that Murloc Paladin deck.
Yeah, just we just decided to put a bunch of Catacombs in the color blue.
Yeah.
In the expansion. That's what its theme is.
Murloc Paladin, I think, largely would remain unchanged in that instance.
And here we go. Can we get it in slow motion? No.
Yes.
That wasn't quick enough. I didn't request it.
Holy smoke. What? 3/9 taunt that summons 9 more health and taunt. He's like one of the splitting oozes, like when you're out adventuring and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna mess up this ooze real quick, and you smack him with the weapon, and then it just spawns into 2 of them, which spawns into 4 of them, and it just keeps going.
I want that clip again, but in incredibly slow motion.
86% slower.
Actually, the common misconception: the human eye can't actually see 86% slower than normal speed.
You know, you just gave me an idea.
That's why you don't buy 258 gigahertz monitors.
You just gave me a great idea for a hunter trap. It's called Frost Trap. It slows the animation of minions by 90%, and if they don't connect by the end of the turn, then they don't attack.
That sounds like a great card idea.
Nosdormu, Frost Trap.
Unlucky.
They're not going to kill that Nosdormu.
The ultimate counter. But we'll see. Let's see what Virtus.Pro is going to use in this next game. Control Warlock, the control sort of demon Warlock. How much experience does Virtus.Pro have against playing against this deck? What deck do they think will do well against it? I think OTK anything.
Yeah, OTK anything typically does pretty well versus the 9-mana 3/9 taunt deck. Something to really keep in mind is that Warlock, I don't think, changed much from its actual philosophy and standpoint. What it does have is different tools, and those different tools means that you could pack a bigger punch versus certain kinds of scenarios. But what do you sacrifice in order to accomplish that? You know, it leaves it quite vulnerable to OTKs, I think, since the Master Oakheart is pulling defense rather than offense.
Well said. But what OTK decks exist in the current format that aren't Druid or Priest?
Thinking Quest Mage.
Quest Mage, yeah.
If players are brave enough to do that. You also had the option for... it's a 4/5 Elemental and Mage that reduces cost of cards in your hand that did not start in your deck.
Leyline Manipulator?
I think so, yeah.
Leyline's something, I'm pretty sure.
It's got Chillwind Yeti stats.
It does, which is, it passes a vanilla test and also has a pretty insane bonus. But where does it fit into Quest Mage? Quest Mage is such a tight list. The standard Quest Mage that we're used to seeing, it's like, well, there's a lot of these really cool, fun cards that may fit into a deck. Like you could play Quest Mage with Deck of Wonders.
Yeah, nobody's going to play Deck of Wonders except for me. I crafted one last night to play 2 of them, and it promptly cataclysmed my entire hand away.
Yeah, that's one thing about Deck of Wonders is it's random spells.
Not random mage spells, which is what I thought it was.
No, it's not the Shifting Scroll, which is the card that does not have a mana cost. It just transforms into a random spell.
They're going to answer right back, and they have one of my favorite cards in Demon Warlock right now, Possessed Lackey.
It's like a Master Smallheart.
Well, picture like the Skelemancer, for instance.
Okay,
from
I'm picturing
Knights of
it.
Frozen Throne.
Okay.
It was a 5-mana 2/2. That's a Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, you summon an 8/8. Quite a powerful effect, but it often didn't prompt your opponent to kill it because its presence was so small in itself. Possessed Lackey is very different. While I think the range of possibility on demons is quite wide if you're playing the early ones, the difference is you can Hellfire or Twisting Nether this guy away, and you still get the demon. It's very much, I think, like Void Caller.
Void Caller, yep.
From that was back in Naxxramas. Was that long ago?
Maybe. It was a while ago.
4-mana 3/4, and the Death Rattle was summoning demon from your hand. I think it's a very powerful effect. You see Dirty Rat in Virtus.Pro's hand as well. That card may not be the greatest in this matchup, but it still can serve some purpose. One of the big things to still talk about that you will always talk about when it comes to slower Warlock matchups, of course, is Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
Blood Reaver Gul'dan and being pretty conservative when it comes to drawing cards. Complexity actually had Kobold Librarian in their opening hand. They threw it away. One, because usually you don't want to draw too many cards in this matchup because when you're talking about Control Warlock versus Control Warlock, it can oftentimes go to fatigue. 2, it also just gives them a Mortal Coil target. Not necessarily as good, but they did throw it away.
Something to talk about with that recruit effect, though. You mentioned it with card draw. It's often wise to be very conservative with the amount of cards that you pull from your deck, because if the resources go even, fatigue is the real breaker in the matchup. So the player who actually has taken the least cards from their deck often has an advantage. All of your cards will blow up each other's cards. You'll both end up with Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and you just drain life for 3 back and forth. So having the Kobold Librarians, having the Possessed Lackeys, those can pull cards from their deck, which can be a punishing effect.
And I wonder just how far Virtus.Pro went with this recruit theme.
That's how far they went. They're going to draw right away.
Yeah, they're saying we're going to beat you with just stuff. We're not going to beat you in the Fatigue War because we have too many recruit minions in our deck. So we're just going to draw cards and try and get on the board quickly and overwhelm.
And it sounds crazy to talk about this this early in the matchup, but this is one of those matchups that there's just not a lot of sheer aggression value outside of something big from a Possessed Lackey just at the right time. So that could be a big manipulating factor here. I don't think Complexity is really using that effect, but you know, think about Master Oakheart. It's one of their bigger power turns in the last game. Is that card off the table due to the amount of fatigue that could really set in afterwards?
It's essentially draw 3 or pull 3 cards out of your deck, which may not be the game plan that they want to go for. This is going to be interesting because while these teams had a lot of experience playing Control Warlock Mirrors in the last set, how do the new cards change it? And Blood River Gul'dan draw for both players. But let's go and listen into Virtus.Pro and see if we can get a little bit of insight to what their game plan is in this matchup.
But the turn after that, we're gonna play the hard rock. But we might actually keep the coin for
what are the bad outcomes? Voidlord is bad. Abyssal is bad. Dreadlord is bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
Not worth it, I don't think.
Kept 1 card.
What are the good outcomes for Dirty Red?
There's so many good outcomes. They run Mistress, they run the 2/1s. It's only 3 bad outcomes, the way I think about it. The 6/6, 2 of them, and the Legendary card. Legendary card isn't that bad as well, because it doesn't do that much damage. 6/6 is bad, the 4/5 might be a little bit bad, but yeah, I like playing the Death Rattle.
I don't like it.
I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of 3 bad outcomes, but it's not that bad. Like the 3 attack, and we don't get hit into the face with the 2/2. They need to pass the Death Rat.
Can we check like the card count?
I don't want to tap since they played one already, and I kind of want to find answers. I think we can tap once. Because like they're a card ahead still, right?
I'll say it's cycled once. And
They cycled once, so I think we can tap. And yeah, I'd rather tap here. Find stuff to play. We don't have anything to play.
like if he gets a 2-1, we won't play it, right?
No.
So many possibilities.
I think it's still safe to tap here. We'll think about not tapping in the future, but I think here we can tap. Because I'm not confident that these 4 cards will combat these yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
How do we bump? We don't play that. How do we bump?
I'll just take the 3-9 into it probably.
Yeah.
Do you like? I
Yeah,
would do it.
I like it.
I don't really know why we wouldn't.
This one, no.
No.
Question is, wanna play that guy?
So are we just training and passing?
Seems like
Really enough. What if they play any minion?
So many possibilities.
And forward they have Dark Reapers. Yeah, they need to.
Isn't it better to maybe save the coin for the hero?
I like saving the
So
coin for the hero.
playing the 1-drop is actually not bad.
But actually, we are not that behind on cards. So yeah, we still need that legendary card.
Yeah.
I don't mind playing the 1-drop.
I would. Yeah,
Seems
same.
very good.
We have an actual win condition in our deck and in our hand.
Yeah, true.
I don't think we tap. Do you?
I don't think so.
I think we just trade the 2-2.
Yeah.
Like tapping generally seems super bad, but we have the win condition.
Yep.
I mean, it takes some.
A lot of weird resources in the hands at the moment. It's basically a race to the Blood Reaver Gul'dan. A brand new card in Knights of the Frozen Throne 4 months ago.
That Dirty Rat was not good.
No, it was not.
For Virtus.Pro. You heard them talk about it, like it's not the end of the world, but my gosh, this is just gonna like end up being a giant nuisance.
They're playing from behind essentially for the first half of this game.
And you've seen the teams feel like that they're almost forced into drawing a card at some point. Tyler had mentioned that he doesn't feel like that their current hand of the 4 left cards was enough to combat what Virtus.Pro has done. And so he wanted to favor life tapping. They were still ahead in terms of the long-term fatigue race. And Virtus.Pro feels very similar. Their hand just wasn't good enough to get the job done.
Yeah. Now it's whether or not they want to draw additional cards or how they want to handle this turn is actually kind of weird. They Hellfire away, they damage and push 6. If they just kind of keep the status quo, they're not moving towards a game plan at all. They just attack and pass.
I like it. It's a slow matchup. Your opponent's not going to pressure you out. If you just simply take your time, that's all you need.
That's right.
This puts a lot of pressure on Virtus.Pro to do something now, because when Complexity makes this style of play, their game plan is very face-up. They say, we intend to beat you in the long-term race. Is there any way that Virtus.Pro can get pressure online? I don't think so.
Nope.
That's just not how this deck really works. It wants to take over the board state, and when both decks are trying to do that exact same thing, what ends up happening is that neither player takes over the board state. In this team, or in this case, rather, neither team takes over the board state.
Or both teams take over the board state.
7 minions each.
They just play double Void Lord and then both kill the Void Lords at the same time, and then you have 12 Void Walkers on the board.
We should each start the game with 7 Saronite Chain Gangs to play.
You just created a Tavern Brawl. Albeit a bad one. You just play normal decks, but everybody starts with Saronite Chain Gangs on board.
Bad is subjective. Just saying.
True. Yeah. Let's go and listen into Complexity as let's see if they just go with the same game plan. Do nothing.
Yeah, I like just hitting it passing, especially since they are passing, right? Like if they want to do the fatigue battle, we'll We'll make them show us the greedy stuff they have to beat us.
Don't draw White Lord. Oh wow.
They'll serve me now.
So they get 3-9. That's what we thought about yesterday. We could kill it and then siphon, but I don't know how good that is.
I wonder.
It's probably kill Siphon, right? Because how do you find mana to do it otherwise? They have 2 in the deck, so like they're gonna pull 1 regardless.
So they're going to use.
Wait, let's think about the
Dreadlord
demons
Treads.
they could pull.
They probably only run 1. That's very likely.
They could still be Kazakus. They could still be we gotta remember this one thing. They could be Kazakus.
I think it's just bump Siphon.
Why do we siphon? Why don't we just ignore it?
Go
Hit
face.
Yeah.
For Nether later, maybe?
I don't even know if I wanted to siphon at 3-9. Like, why not just ignore it as well?
You're good?
I don't know.
Yep.
It's up to you.
I'll go face.
Yeah, let's go face. 3 damage face is also nice. I guess it's weaker to Spellbreaker.
So they drew like a decent amount more now, right? So.
Yep.
You'd even call trade Hellfire.
Might be a thing, yeah.
So many possibilities.
I don't mind it.
I also like it.
Right. Can we do the check up on the count? Like just the.
It's just 3.
Just yeah. No.
I mean
the deck
cards.
sizes.
7.
Yeah, because like there's a point if we don't tap and they like draw like 1 or 2 more, maybe at some point we can play Master O card as well. That's the thing, right?
What about Coil play this
Oh
guy?
yes, it's true. We
and then
can't
do that.
play that card. Wait, can we really play that card?
We can at some point.
Master
I
O
think
card?
I like the I mean now we've earned the right to play Cobalt because we didn't tap earlier, right? And it makes the Spellstone Coil play work.
Yeah.
I think I like that. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Talk Creep is good enough here. Is it? It's only like the thing is like it's just a 3 attack minion.
Anyways, I'm fine with playing the Librarian, honestly. Oh, you can.
Can you?
Yeah, you could like spell damage and kill it as
Only
well.
a fool rejects the
Yep.
Lich King.
That's better.
You gotta earn it, TJ.
You gotta earn the right. Crane put it. We earned this Cobalt Librarian. We didn't tap earlier. We're going to reward ourselves with some cake.
Yeah, I earned it by spending 40 dust. And putting it in my deck and then drawing it.
Well, that's what it's about. You have discipline in not drawing cards early on in the game, and you get to reward yourself later on.
It does unlock future turns. Their early not tapping is quite an investment into not only freeing up some hand space here, but furthering that option later down the road. That 2 damage wasn't inconsequential. I mean, that does upgrade a Spellstone at some point, and then down the road, having that card in hand can upgrade a future Spellstone. That's the one catch with Spellstones, is that they have to be in your hand in order to upgrade. You don't just plow through your game objective and suddenly draw one of the most powerful cards in the game.
Yeah.
You got to have it. You got to earn that right.
You're gosh darn right you do. All right, well,
Better believe
complexity, couple options here. Abyssal Enforcer, they kill up their own minions. Hellfire, they kill up their own minions. Tap, they don't want to do that. Mortal Coil, probably don't want to do that.
Looks like Abyssal.
Many possibilities.
I don't know. These Voidwalkers are scary, man. I'm looking at Twisting Nether.
Well, you can either Twisting Nether or you can Twisting Nether and play a 6/6. And then save
know
your
about
Twisting
that
Nether
one.
for the actual minions that will
But
be
by
later.
playing a 6/6, you're giving your opponent a target to Siphon Soul.
Or to Twisting Nether.
I don't really know about this one, Admiral.
I think you're right, Teach. Back to the drawing board.
I really don't like playing minions to allow my opponent to kill them.
For those of you out there wondering, TJ isn't Fang to rack 25.
Sometimes you gotta think, what does my opponent want to do next turn? He wants to kill my minions and attack me. Well, why don't I just not give him any minions to kill?
Yeah, then he can only complete half of his objective.
And 50% of a game plan is much worse than 100% of a game.
I believe it was the great Ike who said, you kill the minions so they're dead. If I don't have any minions, you can't kill them. You know that guy who's pointing to his temple? He's like, think about it.
I think it was the great Muhammad Ali that said, I'm going to punch him right in the face.
Amen, brother.
I don't know how that's relevant to this story, and I don't even know if Muhammad Ali ever said that.
He did not.
Maybe in private.
Possible. More likely.
But I'm really liking Twisting Nether here.
Honestly, Virtus.Pro is under a ton of heat. It's because of that early Dirty Rat. It's compounded the pressure. They are going to Twisting Nether it. That is a huge resource pool for Complexity, because it means if they can get that one more time, that Blood Reaver Gul'dan turn is much harder to check.
Gotta say, I don't think Master Oakheart's gonna come down here.
I do not think they've earned the right to play Master Oakhart.
No.
I was about to say Master Mokart. I don't even know why. Just that was what was going to come out.
That's not good. It's not a good sign.
And Virtus.Pro, this Twisting Nether does open them up to possibly a coin Blood Reaver Gul'dan on their turn. That oftentimes prompts your opponent to put attention into it, say in the form of Twisting Nether. What that means is that Virtus.Pro is then getting a turn of their Blood Reaver Gul'dan hero power before Complexity even gets theirs on the line. So I think this is actually quite crucial that they chose to use this Twisting Nether, considering they have the second one. It's quite good.
Complexity, this looks like a turn of... Whoa! And they have both Tar Creepers in hand, which are their only one-attack minions in the deck, so they only pull the Void Lord and the Kobold Librarian.
And think about that Librarian they played earlier. They're now even in fatigue, likely behind at some points. Let's listen to Virtus.Pro. They're landing Blood Reaver Gul'dan first.
Okay, now we start down on the next turn. It will clear it with the file.
Oh, I forgot we get the Void Callers back.
Okay, so
That's actually pretty nice.
the next turn, the file is gonna clear everything. So this key's gonna be left with what? Probably 3-6 on the board. Is 6.
Like it should be a clear with our hero power and drain, so yeah.
Hmm?
I'm just trying to count.
What if they DK now themselves?
If they
DK is not good for them here, right?
Yeah, it's not good. They want to get the value from 3-9.
Because it deals damage. We also don't put our 5-5
But,
into at 1 HP, right?
When
That's
do
a big
you want
deal.
to use default if you don't use it now? Like there are not so many default things.
And not that many Hellfires either. Defile probably will be able to work out. I don't know, I just still think Hellfire is better because the 5-5 goes to 2 HP rather than 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See that? I think the damage matters because we also cool down next turn and then we start like counteracting their suck.
Yep.
Do is you can Tainted Satellite, and then you can eat the 3-6, and you can drain soul the 3-6, and then you play the file and you clear the board.
Do we also play Mistress? We can't, right?
I don't want. Okay, how did you say it? So we siphon this one.
Many bloody decisions.
And
Wait,
set
it's
a
not
lot
gonna be...
drain,
No, it's a lot in drain.
You can suck the 3-6, and then you can
Zealot and Defile.
Zealot.
So this one is gonna die and this one dies.
No, you can Zealot drain soul and then the file, for example.
You wanna play the Dirty Rat?
I mean, I would actually be fine with just like playing Dirty Rat.
So
what do you think?
With another
decision.
Only a fool rejects the Lich King.
Yeah, don't play Dirty Rat now.
Yeah, well.
Play the file.
We play Mistress.
Yeah.
Side effects? No. Trust me.
Like if they hero now, it's gonna be a problem.
Is it?
No, we can play... Yeah,
You just play your own Void Lord?
Blood and shadow.
Yeah, that is actually a problem.
We can twist in. There's gonna be a lot of 1-3s left. I'd love to play in the trap together with Twist though. File. Can we clear it somehow? Hit the three. Nope, we can't.
Anything good?
They wanna twist another and just eat the
Yeah.
the 1-3, one of them. Wait, we can eat one of it, the threat, and then twist. Ah, no.
No.
So
We
yeah,
can't. It's too much mana.
twist another and eat one down.
Yeah.
I must feed now.
As Crane said, this matchup is all about counteracting the suck.
Well, this sucks for Virtus.Pro.
I like how they're like, well, if they DK here, it's not even a problem. And then all the demons come out, they're like, well,
it's a little bit of a problem.
just a little bit. There was a chance, as you pointed out, that they'd got no Void Lords back, actually.
Yeah, if you have 2 Void Lords die, it means that there's 6 Void Walkers in the pool. What that means is, with 2 of the Void Lords there, you could get 6 Void Walkers and 1 Void Lord. If there's another demon in that pool, say you'd played a Homunculus, or maybe just a Void Walker from earlier in the game, you could get no Void Lords back in that instance. Oftentimes, I think Void Lord is a super powerful card, and in this instance for Complexity, it definitely is. But now for the rest of their game plan, I'm curious how this unfolds, because if they stay on parity and can keep a life lead over Virtus.Pro, what that means is as they move into that fatigue stage, they have the advantage, even though they're that 1 card behind. My curiosity is, when do you time the minions? Do you want to parse them out, or do you want to play them all at once to try to occupy a lot of Virtus.Pro's time?
Don't ask me.
I'm just asking in general. I do not know. This is day 1 of the expansion.
Yeah, and I think even being 1 card behind, Complexity should have the edge, because I don't think not many things are going face for a while.
Yeah, that'll be one of the reasons. The timing of this Void Lord is pretty crucial here as well for Virtus.Pro. You know, this isn't going to be pushed through right away for Complexity, and so what that means is as they use that suck onto the Void Lord, it gives Virtus.Pro time to heal back up all this damage that's been pushed from Complexity. Meanwhile, that's overhealing for Complexity as well, so a double advantage for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, I guess so. That's also something you have to take into account is it's not always, you know, an even trade. If one player's at full health and the other player's not, then essentially the player that's not at full health is gaining a little bit more of an advantage in the long run, especially with Virtus.Pro in this case, being a card ahead in the fatigue race. That could work out well for them, and also getting value from the heal from the Mistress from their side while not giving value to Complexity with it. Could be a big deal also.
It's the small things that really matter in this matchup. Again, I look back to that 1 draw that they took, and Complexity is going to sit behind their Void Walkers and say, yeah, we'll just try to absorb some attacks. That works pretty well against a 3-9, is when you just have 5 1-3 taunts.
Yeah. Lesser Amethyst Spellstone picked up for Virtus.Pro. That could be a little bit of extra healing as the game goes on. I don't think they really have any minions left in their deck that they want to play besides Vulgar Homunculus that damage themselves. Potentially a Abyssal Enforcer Hellfire left that could activate that Spellstone. But that could be the difference maker in the later stages of the game when we're coming down to the wire with health totals. Could be the lifesteal that they need to maybe pull ahead. Or maybe not.
So many
the choice is yours.
Decisions.
I actually like Complexity's decision to just simply go face on that. They want to keep Virtus.Pro's health total in check. As they move in that late stage, they feel they have firm control over this board, and I actually think this is really smart from Complexity. You know, it looks natural to try to chew through this Void Lord and go from there, but they have a lot of time. It's quite a brilliant play when you think about it, to simply ignore the Void Lord and just wait for a better spot. And that one's pretty darn good.
The Lich King is quite a big threat, if I do say so myself. And
why'd you say it like that, though?
I don't know.
Lich King's a big threat. So, I mean, there's a lot of these are pretty big threats.
Yeah, but the Lich King does not have a direct answer for Virtus.Pro at the moment.
If I do say so myself.
The Lich King pulls one of many Death Knight cards, where, if I do say so myself.
Getting one that pulls one out of Virtus.Pro's deck would be pretty good. I'm going to beat that joke to the ground by the end of this day. There will be no more joke left when I'm done.
That's what we do here on Trinity Series.
That's right.
We take your favorite jokes and we ruin them.
That is the Lich King card that does nothing, and Rin gets drawn for Virtus.Pro, and that is massive.
Yes. Rin, the first disciple. When she dies, or he.
I think that looks like a...
When that specific card dies, it gives you a seal. That seal then spawns you a minion and gives you another seal. That seal is a slightly larger minion, and when you spawn it, it gives you another seal. Then that seal, again, 5 mana, gives you a slightly larger minion than the previous and gives you another seal. And then the final seal gives you a 10/10, I don't even know his name, a 10/10 demon that destroys your opponent's deck.
Yeah, Battlecry destroy your opponent's deck. Now, like TJ said, he skipped about 16 stages of slightly larger man from these seals. I believe it's 5 total.
Yes.
Until you get to the final form. But the final form does, in fact, destroy your opponent's deck on Battlecry. So quite a crazy card. If Complexity cannot find a way to silence this, they are going to be in a lot of trouble. So let's listen to Complexity and hear what they think now that they're staring down Rin.
Deck. Then they don't steal our deck, but like that's a lot of value, right?
So we got 10 right now.
So many bloody decisions.
How long does the first seal take to complete? You gotta play a bunch of them, right?
You need to get it up to 6/6.
But it's not just that, right? It's just like the minions also. And
Yeah. But is there anything we don't wanna like don't wanna overdraw? Like because right now we have 10 cards in hand, so maybe we just either it's Tar Creep or it's like Coil, I don't know.
I think it's
Okay. Suckface.
I don't know if we play both of them.
I
think one is fine.
Yeah. Like we do let them play like start with the seal now.
We could also trade in, suck our own dude.
Like we did in the second.
I mean,
yeah,
otherwise we lose to the weapon.
Like
I guess we lose to the weapon anyway.
I think we have to kill our minion and play the
first seal.
Yeah, the first seal.
So many bloody decisions.
I like it.
Okay.
You like Dirty Rap with it, maybe?
No, don't like the threat.
I don't
If we
think
pull
so.
up the
Like
6/6,
Dreadnought would kill
yeah,
us.
we still don't kill it.
We do that, suck our own minion. Kinda bad.
Kinda bad, but yeah. We're not gonna die to Spellbreaker.
Nice Warlock deck.
If they have the Spellbreaker, that's gonna be ouch for us.
Funny thing is, like, we have Hellfire, right? We have 1 Hellfire left. It's
Yep.
gonna be important, because we need the Hellfire to activate our Spellstone.
Yep.
So we don't have any other cards to do that, right?
No, I don't think so.
No, we don't.
So many.
They can't just play the seal.
Because we have nothing.
I mean, but what about the AoE? Can they even AoE any longer?
It would have been so sick if had the weapon. That.
Well, how many cards do we have left in day? 7 and 8.
Wait, what kind of removal do they have?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't have that much
Defile,
removal.
right?
I think they defiled both.
Okay, what's the
yeah.
play, guys? I don't get.
I definitely think we should play the 4/4.
I think Takrupa too.
I want to play the Homunculus guy.
Okay.
Nice.
One of the best things about a new set also is listening to what the players call the cards.
Yes, Homunculus.
I want to play the Homunculus guy.
Yeah, the Homunca S.
Yeah, even I was like staring at a page of all the cards, trying to frantically learn the card names over the past day. And I can't. And the players don't even bother. They just care what the card does. They don't care what the card's called.
They don't have time.
They don't have time.
Second seal.
Which also summons an even larger man and puts the third seal in the hand, Admirable.
It's a lot of seals to get to that end point, but blowing up your opponent's deck, even if it's just like 2 or 3 cards in this case, that if it gets to that point, it's going to be the difference between winning and losing the game.
Yeah.
I love the way that Virtus.Pro's built this deck. The Barnes in here to try to hit Void Lord, to try to hit Rin early on and get those seals rolling. I love that they have Rin in here in general. I love the Dirty Rats here to try to disrupt things. I love they killed their own Rin to start the seal chain. Everything here spells out an advantage in this mirror match. The one thing I was curious about was their early card draw. But when you see that they have Rin, when you see that they have Barnes, that card draw makes a lot more sense in my opinion.
Yeah, the faster they get Rin, the faster they get those seals rolling, and the faster they destroy their opponent's deck, which means the cards that they drew in the fatigue race don't end up mattering. So I do like it. But the one thing I'm concerned about is they still have, I believe, 3 seals to go before they actually get the 10-10. And then the 10-10 costs 10 mana, so it's a full turn that they use to destroy their opponent's deck. And it's their opponent's deck, it's not their opponent's hand. So we're going to see 3 more cards drawn from Complexity. And then they have to spend an entire turn playing a 10-10, and that may put them a little bit behind as far as the board goes.
Yeah, and that's why I think the Spellstone is such a big deal in this deck, is the ability to recover your life in a fairly massive effect is a big deal. And so right now they have 2 lesser Spellstones in their hand. So that is 6 total life drain they get from that, and then 3 more with the hero power. So they can swing their health up 10 in a single turn, but that would require them to not play a seal or not play the 10 mana guy at the end.
Yes.
Which I really wish I knew his name, because Asgalore? Is it Asgalore? I feel like it's Asgalore. I don't know where that name's coming from in my head. I was feeling a bit under the weather today, and I'm getting a bit loopy. And Rin, I think, has made me partially loopy. I'm very excited.
Me too.
That's one of my favorite cards in the whole set. Tells a big story. And I love that.
Azari the Devourer.
Azari?
Yes. So you play Seal 1, which gives you a 2-2. Seal 2 gives you a 3-3. Seal 3 gives you a 4-4. Seal 4 gives you a 5-5. Seal 5 gives you a 6-6. And then you get Azari the Devourer, a 10-mana 10-10 that destroys your opponent's deck on Battlecry.
Take that, Dead Man's Hand.
If I do say so myself.
Dead Man's deck. And this is no pressure from Complexity right now. It is the natural pressure of these chipping away of minions and then the hero power. I think it's doing quite a good job, but they have to feel they're under a clock here. You know, the other thing Virtus.Pro has to think about is, does Complexity have a Dirty Rat in their deck? I think it's one of the reasons they're holding Dirty Rat and they're holding Barnes at this stage, is they want to mitigate the chance that that Dirty Rat could possibly pull the 10-10 at the end of that phase.
Yeah, in case Complexity were to have a Dirty Rat.
Yeah.
If I do say so myself.
T-Diz is going to run into the ground for me. He's doing my job.
So many
Thanks,
bloody
Teach.
decisions.
All right. This is actually happening. The seal is actually happening.
This is seal number 4.
So many people I saw, you're never going to have time to do that. You're going to sacrifice too much tempo. Nothing's ever going to happen. Complexity!
They're just going to mill themselves!
Holy moly!
They knew how many minions they had left in their deck, and they're like, we're not going to even give you an opportunity to play Rin. We're just going to go all in with these minions and hope that we get there.
Maybe it's not happening.
Twisting Nether is gone. So maybe they'll be able to push in damage. They have 6 points of burst going to the next turn with Hellfire. Let's go and listen into Virtus.Pro. I want to hear what they think of this play.
You need to draw the Hellfire now. Wait.
What if we Dirty Rat?
They still have on Abyssal, right?
No, they don't play it.
So low.
They would have played the previous turn. And this turn. It's better to play Abyssal rather than
Yeah,
play this.
that's right. So they only run.
So that's right, right?
Okay.
Wait, we can play Townless Abyssal, yeah, but we can play this rat as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So we kill this one, we suck this one. Wait, we can kill it with this. 3, suck. Yeah, I think we will kill this one without playing
We
Townless.
spaced on the 4/4, right, with Blood Mage.
Yeah.
What else?
Blood Mage and then spell from the
Suck
4/4.
and trade.
Blood Mage
Ah,
spells from the 4/4.
Blood Mage spaced down 4/4.
4/4. 4/4.
4/4. Yeah, and then
you trade the 4/2 and suck another minion. Okay.
Hit face.
Just go face, go face, go face.
Yeah.
Fine.
Oh, Siphon, Suck, Face. They just heal so much though with the
Wait, what?
Tutus.
Yeah, I like Siphon Sock all face. They still have to deal with our cards, right?
Sucks a attack reaper, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So many bloody decisions.
I like Siphon Sock a lot.
Yep. It's the only play.
That's actually smoking us for a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Hellfire? We're just dead.
We're not dead. Kill this
We
one.
get healed.
You can use everything if you want to. We like playing the empty spell spots on kill this one, suck this one, and drain soul this one.
Is there any way we can play Barnes?
Yeah, we can play Barnes. Oh, no, we can't. No, not enough mana.
And we could play Barnes and we could like suck and drain soul. Is that good enough?
No. Right?
You like my play, right?
Let's-
Next time we kill this one, we get healed.
Yeah, okay.
No, no,
Yeah.
the next turn.
Yeah, that's. I think your play's fine.
I must feed now.
Yeah, that heals. Now you drain soul that dude. The 2/2.
They have one Hellfire, double Mortal Coil, Defile, and the last card. Probably Shadow Bolt.
Yeah.
You know, this was a great push from Complexity at the end, recognizing they were in this dire situation, just barely not enough to get over the hump.
Yeah. Not quite.
If they had taken this game on pace, they would have 100% lost to the Seals.
I think maybe they could have waited an extra turn to go for the Army of the Dead.
Now, that being said, Virtus.Pro does have 2 cards left in deck, and Complexity is still at 30.
I just don't know if it's going to matter. They're going to get an idea of what's left, and Tainted Zealot.
The Seals. Still, I think, maybe an impact?
Well, it's a 5/5. That's quite big.
I haven't done the fatigue math on this just yet. I think they are 100% dead, but that's just my instinct. I haven't done it. If someone out there can calculate a situation where they win, feel free. But I got a long 2 matches of casting in front of me, and I don't have a pen and paper at the moment. So,
Admiral's arms are actually folded right now.
And I'm looking at TJ like, I'm not doing it.
Me neither.
I don't want to do it. I think it's much more exciting to just watch it happen.
Me too. If I do say something.
Could I provide that analysis? Given 45 minutes, yes. Do I have that in this matchup? At this stage, probably.
But do I want to? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but...
Well,
at the finals, it's been like 18 Seals.
The final seal will summon a 6/6 and give them Azari, the Devourer.
Azari. Why did I think Asgalore? What is Asgalore from? I don't. It's from something. Something stupid.
I don't know.
Because I'm a stupid idiot.
I'll look it up for you.
That's why TJ and I get along.
Because I'm also a stupid idiot.
There's no use crying over spilt idiocy.
Asgalore was once the lieutenant to the mighty Demon King Manaroth. He was the 4th boss in Hydral Summon.
Ah.
And after killing him, you gain 375 reputation with the Scale of the Sands.
Nimsh is like raging at home right now. He's like, no! He was the lieutenant!
Well, Complexity doing their best to clean up the board, but I just don't think they're going to get there.
I'm out of cards.
Yeah. They're taking 6. They're twisting together this board, and now Virtus.Pro goes to 10. They go to 7, they go to 6. Complexity goes 11 to 14, and the next turn they go down to 11 and take 6 more and go to 5, which means they go up to 8, and then they die the turn out. It takes more than that time to kill Virtus.Pro, I believe. So Virtus.Pro goes to 7, they go to 6. Next turn they'll go to 5-4 from Fatigue, and the hero power will take them to 1. So unless Complexity has damage in hand, which we heard Naaman say that he believes it's 2 Mortal Coils left at this point.
Or a Mortal Coil and a Shadow Bolt. Yeah, I think he thought the Twisting Nether was a Shadow Bolt.
That's
he
right.
Thought there was 1 Twisting and a Shadow Bolt. So now the question is, do they play minions? Just to get recurring damage in. Or do they just play the 10-10? Does that mean they win the game? If they play the 10-10 and there's no removal for it, they only take 2 fatigue damage the next turn. So they'd technically be alive, but I don't think they want to risk one of those last cards being damaged.
That's exactly what they don't want to risk.
Yeah.
And so in the case of Drain Soul, I think they still win in this situation. Because Complexity would go up to 8, they'd go up to 10, and then they would go down to 7 and then take 7 fatigue. So even in the case of Drain Soul, they're safe in this spot, and that's the risk they're willing to take. Then the last card. And they're right, it never will get played. Your opponent will just kill their own deck first.
My hunger grows.
Gosh, what a game.
Yeah, 45 minutes later, and we have ourselves a winner.
Virtus.Pro, 2-1 lead. It's been back and forth thus far in the match. It's breaking that serve that's important. So Virtus.Pro answers back the Control Warlock pick from Complexity. And this is the spot now. Can they win a second game in a row with this Warlock? We've often seen teams that go up 2 games decisively take the set from there. In last Euro Standing, your opponent ideally queues up their best matchup. So if you overcome that, what that means is that the matchups get worse and worse for them along the way.
What I'm worried about is, you know, what other decks is this Control Warlock with Rin going to beat?
Murloc Paladin?
I don't know if it will. It might. But I doubt if Complexity thinks that, they're going to queue Murloc Paladin into it. What deck, if you're Complexity, do you queue into it? Let's zoom and enhance on his notepad to see.
I couldn't quite make it out.
I'm just kidding.
Zoom in on Virtus.Pro here. Take a look. Only Murloc Paladin been knocked out of their lineup so far. And we did not see a single Kobolds and Catacombs card in their Murloc Paladin, but we saw plenty of them in their Control Warlock.
Yes, we did. And Complexity, Rogue Paladin, Mage, and Warrior remaining. I can imagine, with maybe the exception of Paladin, most of these decks will be quite a bit different than their counterparts in the previous set. But I could be wrong.
I'm thinking the Warrior could be quite powerful, but after seeing Rin, maybe they're not comfortable queuing in that matchup. And so depending on how the Mage deck is built, I could see that being a big factor here as well. Warlock is dealing themselves a little bit more damage than they used to, and a lot of their pressure now is seated in the recovery and attrition potentials. That means that Voidlord, for instance, is not that big of a threat versus Mage. Alex Straza and Burn Spells look a lot better against that game plan, I think, than it did in the previous spot, where there was quite a bit more healing involved in the Warlock decks.
So what's the best Mage deck right now?
That's a great question. Prior to the expansion, I would have said just good Mage. Move up the curve and just have all the cards that seem like they fit everywhere. You get a couple minions on board, suddenly the freezes are pushing extra damage. You don't have minions on board, the freezes buy you time to clear board and set up Alex Straza.
Yeah.
Medivh was a key piece of that tool. But the introduction of explosive runes, I think, gives massive potential to Secret Mage. It's a 3-mana secret, says when your opponent plays a minion, it deals 6 damage to it, and then deals the excess damage left over to your opponent's face. That card is massively powerful at not only disrupting your opponent's board, but pushing that damage as well. I think it gives light to a new Mage aggression that wasn't there before.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because that's probably going to come down to at least one of these sort of archetypes that we haven't seen before. But as we give the players a chance to reset and take a moment after that long game, we're going to take a very short break, so stay tuned.
You guys seeing this?
Game, record, and stream without compromise. Only on Intel Core i7.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Trinity Series Grand Finals of Season 2, presented by Intel, ESL, and Twitch. We're live here from the Intel Esports Arena, where we're knee-deep in Virtus.Pro versus Complexity after a 45-minute-long Control Warlock mirror. I can imagine these players are going to try and reset with some fast stuff.
It's tough to imagine playing a set quite this long. Not only is it up to 11 games that the teams have to compete in, but sometimes you run into these massive length control mirror matches where fatigue is a real possibility. We heard the teams at the beginning of the show saying they were up all night playing and practicing and making sure their decks were refined. You combine less sleep with longer games, and you will suffer some real-life fatigue.
Definitely, and we do have a little bit of footage from a piece of the last game, just to sort of highlight some of the moments that sort of made or broke this game. And I think the big one is here. You can see Rin, the first disciple, as sort of Virtus.Pro's tool to win the long game against a Control Warlock. Keep in mind, they decided to queue up their own Warlock into Complexities, knowing that they'd win the long game with Rin.
Yeah, and Rin here, in this case, does offer that long game potential where it sets Complexity on a clock that says, you have to deal with us, or that's it. We're going to win that fatigue race because we're going to blow up your deck. And so this went on for a number of turns before Complexity finally realized that they just did not have an option versus Rin. It continued to close closer and closer to completing that final objective. And Complexity ended up taking a stance. Value, right? And I quite like their stance. I think it was their chance to win the game. But it doesn't always work out the way that you'd planned it. But taking risks at the right times, I think, is the example of marquee play, when you understand that you have to get this done right now.
Yeah, and they realized here that, hey, they're going to destroy our deck anyway once they get the final seal and get Azar the Devourer online. So let's go ahead and mill ourselves, use Army of the Dead, deck ourselves out, just to be able to put the pressure on our opponent. And it didn't work out. I had mentioned maybe they could have cleared the board and waited another turn, but they decided to go for it now, sooner rather than later, and ended up losing the game for it. But I liked the risk. Just didn't pay off this time.
They would have lost the game, I think, 100% had they just taken it slow and tried to go piece by piece as well. And so that, to me, was the big difference. It was recognizing that they were in a dire situation and having the notion to pull the trigger on such a difficult play. When you mill the rest of your deck in a matchup where you're trying to fatigue out your opponent, bad things typically happen. But that's, again, the mark of a strong player is being able to take those risks when the time calls for it.
Yeah, now as the players get back and set up and ready to get into the next game, we can take a look at the scoreboard. Complexity now have to change their deck. With their Warlock being eliminated, they have to go back to the drawing board to find what they think is going to be the best option for them to beat this greedy, demon-y, Rin-y, first disciple-y Warlock.
That's an excellent, articulate explanation of the deck. Not just Demon Warlock with Rin. Removal-y, Rin-y, Demon-y, removal-y, aggro-y, defensive-y, combo-y Warlock.
If I do say so myself.
And Virtus.Pro, they're sitting pretty. They're up a game right now. They have a wider spectrum of decks available. The in this matchup was quite interesting as well. Virtus.Pro chose to not bring Hunter to the table. Instead, they brought Shaman, and it was the exact opposite on Complexity's side. They chose to omit their own Shaman and bring Hunter instead. I've been seeing some crazy Shaman decks utilizing Snow Fury Giant, and I'm curious if that's going to catch on, or if that's even what Virtus.Pro brought. You know, we saw them bring Murloc Paladin in the first game. Maybe they've tended to be on the safe side of some of the riskier classes.
And there you can see down in the Trinity Dungeons.
The catacombs, as it were.
And there are the kobolds. And there's a close-up of a kobold.
Oh, look at all that gold. Looking for a golden finish to Trinity Series.
Those golden wrapped chocolate coins.
Number two here. Crane just always looks relaxed. He looks focused, but he looks relaxed.
It's his low resting heart rate from all the tennis he plays.
Does he play tennis?
He looks like a guy that played tennis.
Just making things up. You don't even know. Just pure speculation.
He does. He does.
And now you're making me think that you're making stuff up. This is why I cast with TJ. I just never know what's going to happen. TJ's like a box of chocolates.
I have
Little
a box
known
of
fact,
chocolates in my belly.
Final edit
Close.
of Forrest Gump, they had to change the line because TJ would not grant them rights to use his likeness. Am I making that up?
Life is like TJ eating a box of chocolates.
Take a look at the Warlock win rates across the board as well. It has been a pivotal deck for so many teams in Trinity Series. Virtus.Pro and Complexity, however, both break the trend on that notion.
Yeah.
It's not counting today's games.
Yeah. Well, of course, because Virtus.Pro just won a game with Warlock, and that shows 0%. This is only over the regular season, but Virtus.Pro finding a deck, finally a Warlock deck that they're having success with. Because it didn't come in the regular season.
It did not. And yet still, Virtus.Pro is here.
That's right. They made up for it with their other decks, but Warlock was not one of them. So I think it'll be a big deal for them if they can win multiple games in this set with Warlock.
That 2-game serve is what you're looking for. But again, the teams that go up 2 games have a massive favorite where the actual match is concerned. They tend to win when you're 2 games ahead.
That's right. The Virtus.Pro banners in the background with Casey sat firmly below them.
Was a midway substitution for Dr. Hippie, who was a runner-up at the 2016 World Championships. Big shoes to fill.
Yeah. And Casey normally plays for Complexity, but he said, you know, I love playing Virtus.Pro. It means I get to beat my teammates.
Get to put a 0 in front of his, in front of those numbers in his name.
He said he likes winning money, and he feels like he's got a good shot to do that with Virtus.Pro this time around.
I like money.
Me too.
I can't believe you and Casey both like money too. That's crazy.
Small world.
Small world. This player's getting ready for game number 4. I don't think that's the way Mr. Yagin's going to wear that headset for the rest of the series. That's just me.
Well, Tyler's got his headset over his hat and his hoodie.
Tyler looks like a DJ to me. Like, if it was just DJ Tyler, I'd listen. I don't know if he's good or not.
But if you wear your headset over your hoodie like that, you have to be good.
Most DJs aren't good, but we listen to him anyway.
That's right.
Casey, I think, has been such a strong vocal presence for Virtus.Pro. This was a team that was often fairly quiet and just oriented purely on discussion. And while he brings that at times, I think it is important to stay relaxed and be having fun so that you're in a positive mindset. So that way you're not looking for the disasters that can happen to you. You're looking for the good outcomes that you can find. I think it helps players take risks when you can look at the good side of things. And I think Casey bringing that vocal attitude to the table has helped Virtus.Pro a lot this season.
And Tyler recording himself being recorded. As is tradition here at the Trinity Series.
Yo, dog, I heard you like recording.
And Casey hiding behind
a helmet. Helmet to me. We do want to take this moment to tell everyone at home we are experiencing a small audio issue, which we're sorting out at the moment. We are not just waiting for the sake of doing so. We are trying to solve that. We find it's important for teams to be able to be heard, as that's been a vital part of the Trinity Series. So, want to work on sorting that out.
Yeah, and in the meantime, vote for who you think will win. Either type Complexity in chat or Virtus.Pro in chat exactly as you see them on your screen. And we'll tally those votes and see what you guys think as we move forward. Currently, Virtus.Pro is up 2-1, but it's still very early on in the series.
Yeah, I'd say Control Warlock is not really the deck that is looking to break serve, but it is a deck that can.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. The rest of the decks, it's so exciting to me because I just have no idea what's on the horizon. You have to throw out a lot of the notions of what you had before because this set is just a game changer. There's so many cards that play differently than how traditionally Hearthstone has. Just look at Rin, for instance. Army of the Dead was like unplayable in the Warlock mirror match. And in that last game, I think Complexity was forced to play it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So strange.
But in the meantime, as we wait for these players, let's go ahead and take a look now at some of those cards that have been game changers within the Kobolds and Catacombs metagame. These are the legendary weapons, which each class got one. You're taking a look at Wool Cleaver, which is the warrior, Luneth, which is the mage, and the Rune Spear, which is the shaman. I think these are some big ones here. Rock Delar, a lot of people are testing it out right now with a full spell hunter deck. I think the secret and the spellstones are where that deck is made, but Rock Delar can be a good way to generate resources as the game goes on.
I noticed that we didn't see Skull Minari in either of the Demon Warlock decks at the big end. And Twig of the World Tree, one of my favorites, unlocking the ultra powerful turn potential from Druid, but my actual favorite card from the set with King's Bane. Load up some poisons, load up a leeching poison, and fatigue them out. You play the King's Bane, you hit for 5, you gain 5, you hero power and put it back. Last card in the deck. I fatigued a Big Priest last night doing that.
All right, you heard it here first. That's the new big thing, but now we're going to take a look.
New big thing.
I mean, nobody else is giving me any other good ideas.
Spellstone's a new one as well. You can see in parentheses what it takes to upgrade it. It's important to note the card has to be in your hand in order to upgrade it.
That's right. In Lesser Amethyst Spellstone, we saw that one quite a bit last game. Goes from deal 3, the regular Amethyst Spellstone, deal 5, once it's upgraded once, and deal 7, upgraded twice. Lesser Emerald Spellstone, I think, is one of the cards that's putting Hunter back on the map. And I think Lesser Sapphire Spellstone is a card that has yet to be experimented with too much, but I think it's got a lot of potential.
I think that you put a lot of Snowfury Giants on board, or a lot of 2/8 taunts with, you know, like an Ancestral Spirit on them or something, you're going to be all right. Hashtag Massive Spell.
You know what else is all right? Probably not these Spellstones.
Ooh. Lesser Ruby Spellstone is the least impressive one to me, but Mage already has enough powerful Discovery-style effects. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and Soul of the Gorgon, a.k.a. Gorgonzola, King Togwaggle, a.k.a. G-Waggle, and Master Okart, a.k.a. Master Mokart, and the Dankness.
I said Mokart earlier. I don't even know why. It just, that's what came out. I hope that the darkness just sometimes happens. Starts dormant, your opponent, do they have to draw all 3 of them for it to activate?
Yeah.
How much do they cost?
What you can do is somehow copy the darkness in your hand and then play multiples.
Oh, they only have to draw 3 total.
They only have to draw 3 total.
Oh, interesting. You could double the Battle Cry effect with that 2-cost Shaman 1/1.
Or Simulacrum.
Or Simulacrum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the more danknesses you play, the higher likelihood that they activate.
It gets Siphon Sold, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. But maybe there will be some stupid decks, some crazy decks with that card, but we'll
take
have
that
to
Miracle
see.
Rogue. Ah, Vile Spine, dang it!
Yeah, and again, well, let's take a look at the bracket, and we apologize for the delays. We're just trying to get the audio issues sorted out for the players to make sure that they're comfortable and able to communicate as we move forward in the series, but we're currently in the midst of Complexity versus Virtus.Pro, and then immediately after that match today, we'll be seeing Love You Lots versus Team Liquid, and we actually saw them arrive at the studio a little bit ago, so they're preparing for their match. And again, these teams had like 24 hours to submit decks. Well, it was 24 hours between the release of the expansion and the broadcast. They actually only had about 23 hours to submit decks since they needed the decks before the broadcast started so we could load them in.
That's not a lot of time to prepare 9 classes amidst a new expansion with, by the way, $150,000 prize pool here this weekend.
Yeah, and you're taking a look at Bunny Hopper on your screen. There he is. German player who currently resides in Norway, I believe. And he was 3rd/4th at the European Winter Championship in 2016. And since then, he's had a middling of results. He's had a few good results at DreamHacks. He's been one of the top HCT point earners in Europe. And he's just been sort of a staple in the competitive scene. And now 2 finals for Trinity Series, both back-to-back that he's made with Virtus.Pro. So definitely an accomplished player, to say the least.
Something I've always liked about Bunny Hopper is his willingness to be aggressive, regardless of the strategy he's playing. As soon as he smells blood, he's like, oh, no, we go for it here. I know we're playing Freeze Mage, but Fireland's Portal Face is pretty darn good.
Yeah, another thing that I like about Bunny Hopper is that he is not afraid to admit when he's wrong. He's very strong with his opinions, and he'll be sort of aggressive with his own reasoning and line of plays, but as soon as you say something that flips the switch in his head of, oh, I'm wrong, he'll admit it, and he'll, you know, say, oh, sorry, I was wrong, you're right, let's go with that.
Yep.
So a very smart and analytical approach to the game.
I think that humbleness and that willingness to be wrong is another mark of the strongest players that we see. You know, some players, they tend to go with their opinions very strong, and they will stick to them. And I respect that as well, but being able to admit that you're wrong is, it takes a certain mental attitude that you understand that you want to improve and that you still can improve despite where your skill level is currently at.
Yeah. And there's Casey. Actually currently plays for Team Complexity, but because of the mid-season roster pickup for Virtus.Pro, he actually ended up on Virtus.Pro for the Trinity series. And he was also a part of the both HCT seasons, 2016 and 2017, with a 3rd, 4th place finish in spring last year, and a 5th to 8th place finish in summer of this year.
I've always loved that Casey brews up some crazy decks. N'Zoth is one of the cards that I think he's experimented just about more than anybody else with. And I remember him bringing stuff like N'Zoth Shaman to big tournaments and saying, oh, this is good. I'm going to play this. I'm going to beat people with it. And he would put up strong performances with some pretty crazy looking decks.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did earlier on this year in the HCT season. I think Virtus.Pro has to be really happy to be able to have him on board, and definitely a helpful force in making them to the finals. And last player for Virtus.Pro, take a little closer look at Naaman. He won the Europe Winter Championship in 2016, and also with that secured a berth in the World Championship. And he's got a 3rd, 4th place finish at Seed Story Cup, and 3rd, 4th place finish at DreamHack Atlanta. So one of probably the most accomplished players from Europe over the past 2 years.
I believe he was an engineering student as well. He's got just such a bright mind for strategy and thinking. And one of my favorite things about Naaman is actually the YouTube clip of him playing pool. And it is quite impressive to see him sling some billiards. This guy just seems like he's good at everything he does, and I don't really understand how you can do that because there's only 24 hours in a day, but for Naaman it seems like there's about 36.
I couldn't even get good at one thing.
You're telling me.
Let alone 3, 4, possibly 5.
Man, that pool clip's impressive. I hate pool because I'm so bad at it.
No, the paper that Naaman was just handed was a paper of all the things that he's good at. He's just reviewing it.
It's like, wow, this many?
Oh, wow, look, I didn't even know I was good at
You're
that.
forgetting bear wrestling?
The
little known fact,
Kazakhstani
Zangief
bears
from Street Fighter is actually modeled after Naaman.
Fun fact. But there's Virtus.Pro. Currently have the win advantage. They'll be playing Warlock in the next game. Their control Rin Warlock. And again, waiting on Complexity to have their issues fixed. They'll be playing one of their other decks since their own control Warlock deck was just eliminated in this last Hero Standing match. Defeated.
Squashed.
Pooped.
Sure. Just right to it.
12, by the way.
You know, I will say I miss Twilight Drake in a lot of these Warlock decks.
You're setting me up for this one. Yes, Toilet Drake.
You're a mind reader.
I could not resist. I couldn't resist.
You're a mind reader, I swear. I don't know how you do it. What am I thinking about right now? Pick a number. What am I thinking of?
8.
I don't know how he knows it. It's crazy.
You know what else I know? About the neutral legendaries of Kobolds and Catacombs.
There's been some pretty good ones here. Take a look at what happened in game number 2. Virtus.Pro had some sick spots with this Paladin deck. They somehow managed to get to turn 7, turn 8, and fairly decent footing. But this is where Master Mokehart completely changed the game. I assumed that Voidlord would come out unless they had a second Voidlord deck, and this is exactly why you play 2 copies of that card. What a massive turn Complexity has here.
Yeah, that was earlier on in this series with Warlock versus the Paladin, where Complexity was able to take a win with their Warlock deck and show off sort of the power of Master Oakheart in Warlock. Maybe not Warlock specifically, but I do think Voidlord is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, 3 attack minion in the game. And all headsets are back on for the players, which means I'm hopeful that we're very close. And I did get word that we are very close to jumping to the next game, so it's about time.
It takes a while to go through all those dice rolls to figure out where you're going to go in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to pass the sound check. You got to roll a natural 20.
And Ben Bro didn't talk about any sound checks at BlizzCon.
Yeah, well, that's part of the adventure. You experience them as you go along. You can't talk about every single roll that happens. That'd be crazy.
Whoa.
Whoa, indeed. That is a Fire Plume's Heart, and that was 2 copies of a new little kobold guy.
Dry Whisker Buddy Boy.
You got it. 2 mana, 2/2, Battle Cry, gain 2 armor for each opposing minion.
Yep, Dry Whisker Armor, I believe, actually. I don't think it's actually Dry Whisker Buddy Boy.
Dry Whisker Armorer Buddy Boy.
That's right.
Yeah. They left out the Buddy Boy part, but that's his name.
One of the other cards that I think Taunt Warrior gained as a tool in Kobolds and Catacombs is the 6 mana 5/9 Taunt card, which is called Gem Studded Buddy Boy.
6 mana 5/9 Taunt. That's all you need to tell me.
It can't attack unless you have
what?
Unless you have 6 armor, I believe.
You didn't tell me that part. I personally have been a big fan of Unidentified Shield thus far for Warrior. 6 mana spell. It says gain 5 armor, but you have to identify it at some point.
Gem-studded Golem, I believe is what it's called.
TJ's Googling it. The effects of the Unidentified Shield I think are quite powerful. One of them is some 5/5, one of them is deal 5 damage, one of them is make a 5/2 weapon.
Yeah.
Card's been pretty darn good. TJ's just he's just staring gloriously at his phone screen.
Gem-studded Golem. It's a 6 mana 5/9 taunt that can only attack if you have 5 or more armor. So a similar vein to the Ironwood Golem, I believe, the Druid card that's a 3/6 with taunt. That you can't.
Our producer's literally throwing M&Ms into TJ's mouth. This is beautiful.
Sorry, I was distracted for a moment there. But you can't attack unless you have a certain amount of armor. In this case, for the Gem-studded Golem, he missed, by the way.
I said
can't attack unless you have 5 armor.
We're way on topic.
What were we talking about again? Yes. The Gem-studded Buddy Boy.
Tar Creeper, a nice attempt to disrupt the Acolyte from drawing multiple cards here for Virtus.Pro. I think this was about as strong as they were going to get from this spot. What it does mean is that if Complexity wants to draw multiple cards from this, that they are somewhat delaying their quest progress, which I quite like from Virtus.Pro. I think they are at a disadvantage in this matchup. I think that by the time Sulfuros gets online, it's way too late for Virtus.Pro to really make something happen, but there is the kicker of Voidlord. Voidlord adds a lot of defensive time to Virtus.Pro's Warlock deck in this situation, so I'm curious if that's enough to fight through that 8 damage turn after turn.
Yeah, and there you're seeing Sogoth the Slitherer, brand new card from 7 months ago.
I believe the only person I've ever seen play this card in a constructed deck was Bob Nosta Matson.
I saw Hoy play it. He played that Seed Story Cup in his Control Warlock deck.
Notice that as soon as Hoy wasn't able to play Reno decks anymore, that he began winning everything.
Just pure coincidence. Pure coincidence there. That's admirable.
From his own words as well.
Let's go ahead and take a moment into listening to Virtus.Pro, see what they're forming as a game plan against Taunt Warrior.
I think weapon is always like a problem, but
I don't want to do that once.
Weapon isn't that bad.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, but I like tapping.
Yep.
Yeah, I like tapping, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And Drain Soul.
Yep.
But don't really need to play the Drain Soul?
I just want to play a bit around Battle Rage, kinda, I think.
No, I don't like it.
So what do you want to do? Just pass?
Maybe just pass. Maybe playing the 2/1s. I like keeping Drain Soul just to get the health back from it. Don't really think that we need to kill the Stalker Infantry right now.
Almost out of time.
What do you think?
The thing is, if we draw another Voidlord, we are in a bad spot, right?
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
Push 1 damage with the Tar Creeper.
Yeah.
Let's go push the damage.
If we get a Voidlord out of the Liqui, or whatever it's called, it's so good.
Yeah, but with the Void Alert, yeah, we can just tap so much and try to get the Death Knight. If we get the Death Knight, that's a really good chance.
Because you might want to go tap and then Barnes next turn.
Do you want to attack with Mistress into the...
I mean, they might be setting up for like Ravaging Ghoul Battle Rage, but...
No, Ravaging Ghoul, they have Dark Reaper, the reason they played the Acolyte. I mean, they can have the Ghoul, but I wouldn't play around that. And Battle Rage, they might not run it, so I think we shouldn't play around that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
The question is, do I want to bump in with the Mistress?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Do we play around like any AoE effect?
I think we should. Like the weapon. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but...
They can also just bump themselves in the Tar Creeper if they want to Battle Rage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fine. So we just play that and then we bump, right?
Yeah.
And we don't... I mean, there's 2 health we're missing, but...
Doesn't matter that much.
The upside is probably better.
Next turn we double trade and play Barnes.
No, we play Barnes first and then we double trade.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
To get another demon.
Yeah, right, because you can get it out of Barnes, but if you trade first, then you can't get out of Barnes anymore.
Yep.
Like ghouls. No.
Yeah. I want to play the taunt.
Sharp gadgets and steel.
Yep. I like Barnes, yes.
Okay, dude, Barnes.
Tonight, a tale of true terror.
Fine. So we trade in Coil, right?
I think we trade Coil, and then we might play Librarian as well.
Yep.
Coil first. I think we played it.
Yeah, I like it. Like
I mean, whirlwind effects are pretty good for them right now, but...
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
You just want the hero.
Yeah, we went to DK. Oh. Or that dude. Yeah. Let's go. That's actually quite nice, right?
Yeah, it is. We're all gonna have 2 minions on the board each turn. We're not gonna be tapping anymore. I think, yeah, we got everything. No, except for the Death Knight.
Can we ever get them from not finishing the quest?
Yeah, might be. But it's gonna turn... No, it's just way a lot of turns to get it.
A lot of turns, yeah.
But like, even if they finish the quest and then they insta fatigue, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially with another Void Lord.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Finish the quest and insta fatigue.
It's a possibility.
It's going to take them a while before they get rid of the first disciple, plus the first seal, plus the second seal, plus the fourth seal, the fifth seal, and then the final seal.
Mind you, though, that is a lot of stuff that's absorbing along the way. They still have Void Lords. And as far as Virtus.Pro is concerned, it's very unlikely that Complexity actually has a silence effect in their deck. Taunt Warrior has typically strayed away from that sort of thing. It relies on big board removal and the quest to get the job done.
Removal and taunts, that's what the deck is. That's all the deck is.
Yeah.
And then eventually you have a hero power that deals 8 damage to a random enemy, but until then, taunts and removal.
Removals and taunts, removals and taunts. It's like Druid. Fates and Growths.
Fates and Growths.
Shout out to Muzz, who is in the building, by the way.
He is. The one and only.
So
Muzz Kona.
many possibilities.
When do you get this ring online, though? I mean,
right now. You get it online as soon as possible. You get the fourth seal online as soon as possible. Then the fifth seal, then the final seal. And along the way, you have to get the first, second, and third seals.
Something else, talk about just the life gain, too. The Amethyst Spellstone, I think, is providing a lot of longevity to Virtus.Pro. Look at that. Not the Rin yet.
Not yet. I think this plays quite good. They get to draw a card. They get a good trade over. And Blood Reaver Gul'dan could be the difference maker. Especially if they get Blood Reaver Gul'dan and can couple that with the Rin. It's going to be up to Complexity to complete the quest as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Sarnite Chain Gang is a great card. It does not activate twice on the quest, though. It's when you play a taunt minion. It's not when you summon them.
Yeah, so Dirty Rat effects don't take effect either.
Just a strong card in the deck. It helps to set up Sleep of the Fishes, any weapons down the road.
Yeah. And recruit effects would not give you progress towards the quest either.
That's right.
Well, let's take a listen in now to Complexity. Their options are quite limited, but let's see how they want to handle it.
It's definitely Slam and Chair Knight. I just don't know what we slam.
Slamming this might also make sense.
Get it to 5?
Yeah, then we could hit it with the 3/3 if we want.
But do we
I would
even
honestly,
want it to proc?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we need to get rid of it.
I would slam the 3/7.
I would slam the
for
3/7.
various reasons. Yeah, like chain gang.
Do we trade into that?
I don't think we have any reason to.
Yeah.
You could. Nah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm pretty sure it's not good.
Better, but I can't couple it to something. Can we use Defiled?
Can you just play Dirty Rat and then Hellfire? Dirty Rat, you trade the 2 into whatever
Let's
comes
see what
out.
we're gonna get from this rat. Then we might play this one or Hellfire.
Yep.
I like doing this rat. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
We're playing this one in trade.
No, yeah, you trade the 2/1 and then you play Hellfire.
No, I don't like playing the Hellfire.
Why not? Why not? If you play the Hellfire, everything dies. Like you trade the 2/1, you Hellfire, and then you trade your Demon Lord in, and then you push face, and there's clear board again.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Bunny is right.
And then you also tap.
So I have to tap first.
Yeah, I guess.
Draw
That,
land.
that doesn't do anything. No, I like this.
Yeah. And also pulling the Drake out is not bad.
Yeah, pulling the Drake is good.
Problem is we can't really push through whatever they have so effectively.
I think we're gonna keep this one for later turns. We won't play it the next turn because it's good against his hero power when he plays the quest, and it's gonna be 1/3 towns just to avoid into the face. So
we have to get a Gul'dan online because we have to kill them. We have to start sucking their face.
Yep.
But I
right?
don't like playing it this next turn because he's just kind of.
Are we ever gonna have 9 mana though? That's the thing.
The thing is, this is the one thing, and if they play fishes now, or depends what they are doing, right?
If they play fishes, then yeah.
Because we wanna, if we don't play it on turn 9, we never play it, and so we can't hero power them.
So they have their quest done.
They will have their quest done, that is correct, as long as they pick Bloodhoof Brave.
Or Public Defender.
Or Public Defender.
Which I actually think the Public Defender is quite good right now.
Yeah.
Allows them to get Sulfuros online this turn if they wanted.
What now?
Dang. Looking good for Complexity.
Also, make sure you get your votes in. Who wins this matchup? Quest Warrior, Demon Warlock. Vote in chat with what you think the answer is. We'll grade your quizzes later.
Complexity going to hang on to the attack charge from it. Set it up, look for brawls, sleep with the fishes, slam, etc. afterwards. One of the best spots you can be in with Taunt Warrior is when you're able to save your removal for after completing Sulfuros in a relatively safe spot. If that happens, that means that your removal constantly isolates the board down so that the hit from the hero power either lands at face or kills the minion. Rinse and repeat over and over again. That's a very vital point to Complexity's strategy right now because the fact that Virtus.Pro Texas isn't very aggressive gives them time to land the Sulfuros and get to these style of points. But with Blood River Gul'dan, with the double Void Lord, this is going to be a lot harder, and frankly, I'm not quite sure that Complexity gets there.
It is going to be tough. They're going to need a lot of time, and they're going to need a lot of fireballs to the face. That's for darn sure. And they're going to have to get through a lot of minions to get there. And all the while, they're on a clock. Because Virtus.Pro can stabilize with Blood River Gul'dan, and then it's just a matter of time before Rin, the first disciple, comes down and starts the train of seals.
I think it's the Blood River Gul'dan that really pushes the point over the edge. You know, just having that many Voidwalkers and that much health on the Void Lord, just a very awkward spot for Complexity. You know, once they get past the brawls and the sleep of the fishes, that's a long road to go. That's a lot of extra health that Virtus.Pro's potentially bought. I'm glad I'm not in the hot seat right now because this is a difficult one to plan.
I'd say so. Primordial Drake looks reasonable, but then you have to think about, you know, Primordial Drake plus Sleep with the Fishes is a fantastic way to clean up a board state. So it looks like they're just going to go ahead and draw cards. So draw 2 from this. Tar Creeper, the Curator is going to be good to sort of generate more resources. And just a damaged Voidwalker hit. That's a pretty negligible hero power hit. But let's go ahead and listen in now to Virtus.Pro. Blood River Gul'dan available. Let's see if they jam it.
Get a Mortal Coil.
Oh, that's also good for later on.
Yeah.
I think I'll trade like this. Yeah,
Yep.
trade the threat into this, so that it's not gonna get damage. I'm gonna lose 1 damage, but
I don't actually mind that they clear this board too much. Do we?
yeah, we don't. But I don't wanna like Sleep with the Fish is the one which. The line
Okay.
So just losing 1 damage. 1 damage into the face. I think it's not worth it. I think it's worth it.
You missed 2 damage.
No, it's 1. I trade like this and I trade it.
Oh yeah, right. I'm down.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yep.
No need to play anything. Just, how does Casey like to say?
I'm dumb.
Just chill and be happy, or what do you say?
Yeah. Do nothing and be happy.
Do nothing and be happy, yes.
Right. Goldfishes hit the weapon into the 3/6. Shoot, Tar Creeper.
What now?
You have 50% chance to hit face for 8.
And it's not just Brawl, Hero Power, Tar Creeper.
Do we need 2 Brawls? 1 is fine, right?
Yeah, but like if we brawl, we have less chance of hitting face. We just give them Voidwalkers, and we kill the 3/9, and then we make their Gul'dan on the following turn good. But if we just roll fishes, we have the 50% chance to hit face.
Okay.
You hit the weapon into the other guy. Shoot Dark Creeper. Sucks.
Clear the board.
You can just play 2 seals.
I like 2 seals.
Yep.
We agreed on that. Right?
Wait a second, it's also demons.
Yeah, it's also demons.
We want the Void Lockers. We want the big dudes back, though. That's the problem. I don't know. I don't mind playing DK and just jamming them in the face for 3 every
No,
turn.
demon. We need to wait until they clear our 1/3s.
Yeah, but the 2/3s are demons, and if we don't get the Void Lords back, we have a problem.
So do we just want to trade in the Void Walkers and then play hero?
Yeah, I want to do that.
Okay.
So many possibilities.
They brawl that. That's like.
Wait, so we trade 1 Voidwalker.
No, we trade all of them. It doesn't matter. The chances just get higher.
Trade all of them?
Yeah.
No, 1, right? Yeah.
1, only
Oh
1.
yeah, 1.
Why?
Because it's demons, they summon itself anyway. You just increase the chance that you summon a Void Walker.
Yeah.
You also have less board spaces.
Yeah.
It's like no difference.
Okay.
Easy.
Wait, there was no chance we get all of them.
No, it was the 4.
Oh yeah, there's actually 1. We have 1.
Yeah.
There's 4, so there's a chance.
Mhm.
No, but like the chance is better if you trade all of them in, because now the chances. Now you have to get. Right, you would have to get
this
6
chance
out
is
of
better.
6 instead of 5 out of 5 out of 6 is like.
Can you kick
Anyways.
him? Can you kick him with his head?
Can you kick it?
What I'm saying makes sense.
Does it?
I don't know, I'm not listening.
Yeah, I'm not listening as well. I'm just watching the game.
But we can keep playing.
I think it's the same math.
I don't know. Casey wasn't listening. Neither was I.
I don't know how the proportions work out. It's some sort of basic algorithm.
This seems correct. I like to play by feel.
They got 2 Void Lords, so it was right.
That's right.
happens or it doesn't. And this was a situation that Virtus.Pro was attempting to avoid. We saw Complexity dig very aggressively on a turn where they were facing some pressure. They wanted to find the second brawl so that they could create this style of board state. Both Void Lords kick it.
Wah!
And the Ravaging Ghoul living, I don't think really matters too terribly much, but it does increase the chance that this hits face. Nope, not quite. But now, Virtus.Pro has to get underway with pressuring Complexity. Their Void Lords are completely wiped out at this point. And this is where they have to start delivering.
But I think they can start delivering, and they have the seals. We talked last turn, they were talking about even playing double seal in a single turn. Just getting it online, they could complete it in 3-4 turns from now.
I quite like it here because they have some healing in hand, and if they get that going, they can burn out Complexity's deck right away. Is that worth more than just simply the healing and the damage they buy from hero power, though? That's a good question, and I think this would take some sit-down review time as part of a practice session. It's not something I think you figure out in a few minutes.
Or in a day, which is the only time they've had to play with these seals.
Yeah, I mean, they had to build the decks in a day, let alone craft a strategy.
Yeah. Now, a lot of it becomes a similar strategy to traditional Control Warlock, but when you get into the nuances of using these seals and how quickly you should use it and how much value it has getting it out a turn sooner, or waiting a turn, or waiting a few turns, those are the types of nuances that you don't learn by playing 5 games with the deck.
Yeah, like I think about the nuances of some of the decks that we thought were traditionally unfavored or favored in certain matchups. And it's like the evolution of Quest Rogue, for instance, where players stopped trying to bounce Firefly, and instead they started bouncing the Flame Elemental token instead. What they realized was that playing a turn 1 Firefly to help fight for board early on would give you enough time to have a better board position. And it was plays and strategies like that that helped Hoy win the Spring Championships. His knowledge of Quest Rogue was very deep at a time late in the metagame. And as that time goes on, players will craft better and better strategy for how matchups work.
Yeah, and how much knowledge could you have with Gem-Studded Golem?
TJ had to Google the name of the card.
I knew Gem-Studded, I just didn't know that it was called a Golem. But there it is.
It's called a Golem, actually, but...
Golem.
Yeah.
A Golem.
Golem.
Taunt can only attack if you have 5 or more armor, and I doubt that Complexity is going to be able to gain 5 or more armor, so it's just a 6-mana 5/9 taunt that effectively can attack for a majority of the game.
Oh, that's the minion they did not want to live through that brawl. Get the face shot, though.
That's right. But they're out of brawls. That's both brawls used. They do have Primordial Drake and Sleep with the Fishes.
I think Virtus.Pro gets past this. I mean, so much time was occupied handling double Void Lord that it looks like they have the gas to just keep pushing through.
Yeah, and just going to keep playing these seals, and Complexity's watching this clock get shorter and shorter. And not going to play double seals per turn. Just going to make sure that they fit in this hero power every turn.
Yeah, when you get clocked in the face here, I think this is the time to start playing it a bit safe. They know that there's 1 Sleep with the Fishes left. They know there's a Primordial Drake in hand.
There's the Dry Whisker Armor. Actually, I was wrong. I forgot that we saw those earlier. Those are a great way to gain armor. They gain 2 armor for every enemy minion. So compare that to, say, Cult Apothecary, which is a 5-mana 4/4, which gains +2 health for every enemy minion.
Armor is better than health for the most part.
Most of the time, the vast majority of the time, armor is better than health. I think almost every time there's probably a fringe case scenario where there's not. And also it becomes at a much earlier, and it's more cost efficient. A 2-mana 2/2 is better than a 5-mana 4/4, I'd say.
The few exceptions where health is better are like obviously if you get a benefit from healing, or in the case of like the Priest quest where you actually go 240 health. Priest getting that extra 10 armor would mean they can't restore themselves to 40. It's like really very fringe situations where it's not as good.
Yeah, and at the moment, this Gem-Studded Golem can attack, but not for long. He stuck him in the face, can no longer attack.
I mean Virtus.Pro even took another shot to the face of this hero power. It's getting a little bit scary.
Yeah, let's go now and listen in to Virtus.Pro and see what they want to do to deal with this Gem-Studded Buddy Boy.
Okay, that's so hard.
What's your suggestion?
My hunger.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, there's no better turn, is there?
So far,
yeah.
Play. And
We play C a lot after, right?
I must feed now.
Yep.
Yeah, you do that.
And zero.
Deolot, maybe tunnels as well.
No.
Only a fool will
They
reject.
Do we,
always
yeah, just do we play tunnels?
He just
Yeah.
They don't have the ghoul, only the Drake.
Yeah, but that's a really big problem.
Yeah, it is.
I
Go for the 50-50.
if you miss, and it sucks as well, but
But they have enough healing left though, so like it's never.
I think we go for the 50-50.
It's like how many cards do they have left? They still have a Drain Soul and like the spell stun, so it's not like it's lethal setup. They have the heal for sure, right?
And 13 and 12 is also different. Like you want to be on 13 because then they have to use one My Hero Palm.
Yeah, but spell damage also matters. I kind of agree. I would just play the Drake and Hero Power.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Come on.
So do we just play the seal, Dirty Red and Sack?
Probably, yeah.
We start with Dirty Red?
I don't mind Dirty Red.
Yeah, but with the executes we might die. Wait, you wanna suck the Drake, right?
I want to suck his face.
I wanna suck his face, yes.
The menagerie is for guests only.
Sucking his face and playing the seal, but we might die. We need to play Drain Soul.
I must feed now.
I think I'll just trade into the Curator with Drain Soul. This way I can play the seal. Oh no,
Okay.
we can.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I can't play the seal though.
I would like to play the Mistress as well, though.
Okay.
Side effects.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Hero Power just hit 1 in 6 phase and then they won the brawl.
And then 1 and 4. So 1 and 2, 1 and 4. Win the brawl. 1 and 4. 1
We
and
have
2.
two executes left. The 2-2 guy left.
Yeah, they have 2 executes left. They have the weapon left as well, which is like kind of a problem.
2 executes, 2 weapons.
Now.
I would bump, execute, and play alley, and then I don't know if we hit something and then Hero Power.
Yeah.
Wait, with what do we bump?
With
With
the 4-8?
Yeah, 4-8. Never the face.
Wait, do we use one of the 2 mana spells?
Yeah,
Execute,
we just
yeah.
execute. So, bump, execute. I just don't know if we hit the weapon into the 2-1 or not. You play Ellie. This is your call.
I think I would hit face. I don't know.
Do it, do it.
I don't know about hitting face.
We have a weapon left, and we have a whirlwind, right?
Can Virtus.Pro turn this around? Find out next time.
They go to 15, they go to 18, which gives them 2 turns. So if they Twisting Nether this spot, they go to 15 from the Mistress. Takes complexity to 17. They go to 17 from, sorry, 18 from the Hero Power. That's 3 shots that they have to survive after that, which means that Third Seal, Possessed Lackey, whatever their last card is going to have to absorb those shots, and they're going to have to hope complexity doesn't draw anything that's live. 2 executes in complexity's hand means that basically those are dead cards. Yeah. Now, minions getting in the way of Virtus.Pro's minions could be the difference to that. But the seal so far has been too slow. Sulfuros has been proving massively powerful in closing the the window of opportunity for that card.
I must feed.
You see Virtus.Pro not even really discussing plays. They were just sort of complaining about the bad beats that they got throughout the game. I mean, I don't really see any other option besides... Well, I was going to say Twisting Nether,
so
but...
Seal going, at least.
Is that really better? They're going to take the extra 2 damage, which puts them at that mark of... 16 is much different. I guess they heal up next turn, so it ruins the math.
It's kind of interesting, because I think Complexity actually has justification for now attacking this card and executing it in order to push that 8 damage guaranteed. So it does require a resource in this instance, and they get to keep Twisting Nether. So maybe Complexity draws like their last and final minion or something, and then you get Twisting Nether that. It's an interesting prospect, but it's clear that their game plan is to unlock the seal as quickly as possible and get the 10-10 online. The 10-10 can absorb technically 2 shots.
Yeah, but still, I believe both executes still left.
Yeah, but you gotta hope.
And they're going to hit fatigue, and by doing this, they're not dealing damage to Complexity's face.
I wonder if a key to this matchup is actually to not play the second Void Lord prior to Blood Reaver Gul'dan. If they were able to just use that first Void Lord, summon it back with Blood Reaver Gul'dan, the opponent, then you have the clock going at Blood Reaver Gul'dan, your opponent has to force damage to that, and you can play a second one for Disruption. There's a lot going on in this matchup so far, and Complexity says, you know what, we want our executes.
I'm not surprised that they do.
So now last card, Lesser Amethyst Spellstone. So that's going to be a 3-point drain, and that's it. That 5/9 cannot attack unless Complexity has 5 or more armor. And what that means is it's not attacking unless they draw shield block. Oh, the 2/2 guy. And that completes the seal as well. I think this plan from Virtus.Pro was quite brilliant, actually. I would have liked to see Complexity use Execute and push that damage.
The 2 damage.
I would have liked them to see the Ally Armorsmith into the 4/4, execute,
okay.
use the hero power to push
8
8
damage.
Yeah.
You're right. They wanted to save on to the execute, though, and now Complexity, let's see if this game plan from theirs is unraveling. Let's listen in.
All right.
I think it's Whirlwind Fishes execute, because we never get the fishes anymore.
Oh.
Full clear and hit face for 8, right?
Yeah, sure.
Wait, what?
You have to Whirlwind, execute fishes, and trade, and then you get to hit face for 8. And
Yeah,
then we might get them in fatigue.
Yeah, I agree.
So Whirlwind?
Wait, is it really replaced?
Yes, you have to do everything.
I agree.
Because you need to hit for face. No, yeah, you need to do that. Yeah. Yeah, you have to clear everything and then go face for 8. And then hope that we get them in fatigue and a shot to the face.
What a weird game.
I would play the 10-10.
I mean, we're gonna fatigue for 2 next turn. Sucking doesn't do anything. You just play the 10-10 and hope they hit the 10-10.
If they hit the 10-10, then we win.
Maybe.
Yes, we win. Because we're gonna sack this one.
Oh yeah, wait, they're out of cards. I was like...
Okay, please.
This thing never attacks, right?
Yeah. 50-50 to win the game.
Come on.
No stun prey.
Go.
Yay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good job.
Man, to have it come down to that is quite brutal.
You know, if they hit the 10-2, it doesn't actually connect for damage, I don't believe. They have to Spellstone and then suck and then hit for 10. It's still quite close after that.
I don't think they would. I don't know. That would have been close because let's pan that one out just quickly.
Oh, quickly, yeah.
So the first hero power hits the 10-10. They Amethyst Spellstone and use the hero power, so they go from 7 to 13. They take 2 points fatigue. What if the hero power hits their 10-10 next turn again? They're behind in fatigue. I don't know. That was tough. I think they were right. I think they did win in most scenarios in that case, but it's still quite tough for that one to pan out. But now we're all tied up. It's 2-2. Complexity is going to be on the Taunt Warrior once again, and now it's Virtus.Pro's job of finding the best deck for them to go up against this Taunt Warrior with.
Yeah, no one yet to break serve on this one. It's been back and forth, and some long, grueling matches where we've seen all 30 cards from the Warlock deck twice in a row, but it finally falls for Virtus.Pro. And so now to check Taunt Warrior, there's quite a feu decks that can put a lot of pressure on this, but Virtus.Pro is running out of those decks. Warrior has historically performed fairly well versus Rogue. I'm thinking like a very heavy controlling Warrior might be able to get some work done here, say like a N'Zoth build or something. Mage, though, I've seen Mage struggle at times to Taunt Warrior, but it didn't look like there were Armor Smiths in the deck from Complexity.
Well, with the Dry Whisker Armorers, I think that takes the slot of the Armor Smith.
I agree.
I think on average it's usually more. Armor Smith has the potential to
Mage,
stay on
though?
the board. Against Mage, maybe not. But against most of the other decks and archetypes that you're going to see throughout this weekend, I think that the Dry Whisker Armor is better.
That's the thing, though, is now we're in the spot where it starts to become matchup dependent. And I think that against Mage, it's quite valuable to have Armor Smith and be able to combine Whirlwinds to get these bursts of armor generation. With the Whisker, you're probably with 2 minions in play. Mage doesn't really commit that much to the board. A lot of it is Alex Strauss of burn spells and Medivh sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's about it. So I am curious how that card will work out if maybe there's a burn mage on deck, or maybe it's like a secret mage. Secret Mage, I think, with explosive runes packs quite a punch when it comes to the explosive runes hitting a minion and going over with the rest of the damage.
Aggressive Secret Mage, not bad, especially with the legendary weapon to get a little bit more gas. Seems pretty good. But let's go and take a look at a little bit of a replay from this last series. Sort of a pivotal moment in this series with sort of a board full of stuff for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, this was really a turn for them to try to trim down the board position and really get the damage rolling. And I think this turn bought them a lot of resources at the end of the game, where they isolate this down to a 50-50 and again try to direct that damage. The hero power from Complexity, once they get Sulfuras online, much more about pushing damage than it is about wiping out threats. And those shots, turn after turn, started to add up. So they land with an unfortunate one here, but later on they were hitting those shots with 3 minions on board at times. That's really important damage that they're netting. And the force here on the seals, I think, was quite clever from Virtus.Pro as well, but just not quite there to get the job done. They need just a little bit more time.
Yeah, just a tiny bit more time, and also just maybe a tiny bit more fortune as the game sort of wound down. But you can't dwell on that. That's one thing, and that's one thing that Virtus.Pro hasn't done well throughout the regular season, and even last season. They dwell on bad luck a lot. At the beginning of Season 1, they were doing very poorly. And every week, they would just come in and basically harp on the mistakes, or not the mistakes, but the bad luck that they'd have in the previous weeks.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You can't dwell on that kind of stuff.
Gotta have that positive mental attitude. That's what directed the shot from Complexity. I mean, you saw them hoping for it. How you think affects what happens in random outcomes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to see some random outcomes be big deciding factors, but when you get down to the point where that's the effect that's deciding it, what that means is the game's even, and we have a tiebreaker in place now. It's a part of cards that I personally accept. It is what it is. We've seen it all season long, all game long, honestly, for Hearthstone and its lifespan.
Yeah.
The better play is what tends to be the deciding factor.
All right, well, it's time to traverse back through the catacombs and onto the game board in just a few moments as the players get set up. Complexity with Taunt Warrior once again in Virtus.Pro. Back to the drawing board, and really zero speculation from my side about what we could possibly see. I have no idea. That's the beauty of it. Ah, lefty.
Some call that wrong-handed. I didn't know Casey was left-handed.
Me neither.
That explains a lot of those N'Zoth decks. Almost everyone I've met that's left-handed just is more creative in general.
They just misclick so much. Ooh, whoops, N'Zoth. Ooh, that's actually pretty good.
I like that. Little known fact, Casey designed every single deck recipe. That's a total lie. That's untrue.
Or is it? So Casey was piloting Warrior and Rogue.
That's what that graphic was for. Yeah, Rogue.
So it's either Warrior or Rogue.
I will say that N'Zoth Warrior is very much in his repertoire, and I think N'Zoth Warrior performs quite well versus Taunt Warrior a lot of times. Mountain Fire Armor can be quite a difficult card to handle for Taunt Warrior. You just have a lot of fairly powerful stuff that fights once you start getting the Direhorn Matriarchs in play. The 6/9, you know, surviving that shot by 1 health is a giant nuisance to a lot of Complexity's game plan. So if that's on deck, I could totally see that being a strong advantage for them here. You know, Dirty Rats a lot of times find their way into the Zoth Warrior decks as well. That can help delay that quest progress. We'll have to see. It's day 1 of the Kobolds and Catacombs meta here for tournaments. It's going to be Rogue, though. And I see Arcane Giant. I see Hallucination.
Miracle.
Yes, whatever TJ just said. Something to the effect of miracle. I believe it was Spanish for miracle, not Italian.
Tony, miracle. That's what it is. Probably some Faldore Striders. Anybody in this Miracle Rogue deck?
Some Elven Minstrels, maybe?
Some Elven Minstrels.
I love that card. It's a 4-mana 3/2 with combo. Draw 2 minions from your deck. And when he comes into play, you hear strum on a flute. Or what are those things called? A lyre? Not a flute. You know the things the bards used back in the old days?
I believe it's a lute.
Is that what it is? L-U-T-E. I don't know how it's spelled. Someone knows what it is. Google bard instrument. It's there. I promise.
I believe you're looking for the word guitar.
Ah, yes. The age-old instrument of guitar. He strums and he goes, "There once was a man from Gilneas." And I just lost it laughing when I heard it last night.
Really, that's a weird thing to laugh at.
I laugh at you. That's a very weird thing to laugh at, too.
Good point. I concede.
I'm sorry, that was mean. I laughed with you. And this is what TJ has to deal with on a somewhat weekly basis.
Usually bi-weekly. All right, well, not seeing anything new yet.
Oh, they're here, though.
Most likely. At least Minstrels, at least 1 Minstrel, and probably 2 Faldore Striders.
I would say the Strider is actually much more likely. It's a 4-mana 4/4 with Battlecry. Yeah. You shuffle 3 ambushes into your own deck, and when you draw the ambushes, you summon a 4/4 instantly and draw a card.
You win the game.
Well,
oh, wait, sorry.
You're going a bit Reddit on me here, but let's go ahead and listen to the VP, see if we can get some insights. A Strider just drawn.
Wait. No, the shuffle one, right?
Did you just coin that?
Yeah, but I was thinking about coining it next turn, probably coin Wisebine Slayer.
I like to coin it now.
Yeah, same.
Let's go. I'm not sure about the coin Valspine. Like, what fort are we gonna Valspine? Don't we just Valspine their 5 drops?
Yeah, or something. But coin Wisebine and then Shift SI is really strong, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing.
Is it the best turn to play the Fan of Nice?
Maybe you could just...
We have time, right?
Yeah.
So Ellie Armorsmith would be a problem if we put it.
Yeah, but for the Armorsmith, you need to...
we just play Shift SI.
Hmm?
Like, if they play Ellie Armorsmith, we just play Shift SI and
trade the 4/1?
And trade
yeah,
the 4/1.
That seems...
So I actually like Wisebine Slayer here.
Yeah.
We trade, right?
No, actually.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's bad to the weapon, but...
Is it that bad? Then they take 3. Then we go Shift SI.
I mean, this board doesn't even die to the weapon.
Sec changes. Is it good? We would play it on turn 7, son.
And what about just taking Shield Bearer? Like, honestly, assuming we draw more taunts in the next 2 turns.
How? We don't execute this, right?
I don't think so.
No. Actually, they keep getting 4 damage in, but no.
I think I would take the Shield Bearer and just slam it. I've always liked to do that.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think I agree.
Because, like, we already have, like...
Got 4, need 1 more, actually.
Yeah, like...
7.
If we draw one in the next 2 turns, we can play that and then into the Drake, maybe. Like, it might not pan out like that, but if we take a 5 and we have to do execute a turn, then we don't get to get the 5, then, I don't know.
This guy's
It starts getting, like, super weird. So what are we at?
4.
I would tend to just play the 6-mana guy.
Yeah, if you don't play it now, it gets weaker. What if they play Auctioneer? But they used coin into Slayer.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have Auctioneer.
I would just play the 6-mana guy.
I like 6-mana guy.
But it can't attack, right?
It doesn't need to attack, right?
Yeah. They're gonna want to push damage.
Yeah, I agree.
That gem-studded golem,
buddy boy,
is going to stick on the board.
Well, it's going to take some damage, though. I will say that drawing SI7 agent is a lot that can go into it.
Actually, they have a way to clear this. Now, the one thing is, well, they have a way to clear without having to clear up their board, is what I was referring to. But
like the fan,
they do need to draw into some card draw.
I'm thinking the ambushes. What's the other guy? Gadget. Mean Streets of Gadget's Auctioneer, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Gadget's and Auctioneer. That's his name.
New card from Hearthstone 3 years ago when it was released.
4 years ago, by the way.
Wasn't the official release? I don't know.
Oh yeah, early 2014.
Yeah. 3.5. Twin Emperor Veclor, Squirming Tentacle, Dread Corsair. Those are the 3 minions that are being presented as options as part of the card Stonehill Defender.
Yeah, by the way, that one's the best one.
Because it gets you closer to the quest.
Well, it's also just because it has more health. It doesn't die on board instantly. It requires multiple actions. That's all Complexity's trying to do right now, is force multiple actions from Virtus.Pro.
Wow! Wow! It's an ambush! All 3! What in the world?
That is insane! Do you know the odds of that? That is so incredibly unlikely to happen.
Wow. Let's go ahead and listen into Virtus.Pro and see how they feel about this one.
You play pot?
Why not?
I don't think so. I want to eviscerate to play around the... No, they want to play the weapon.
I like playing the mimic pot. I don't like the...
The thing they play the most is probably...
Okay, that's not bad.
You can play one, no?
Yeah, you can just trade with the minions.
You trade with
double side.
Double side trade, I think is better.
Yeah, double side trade.
Do we play the pirate?
No.
Probably not.
No.
That's actually pretty decent, right?
How much do we get? 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and they get 21 then?
Is it better to just play the Primordial Drake?
Wait, huh?
You're thinking they might lethal us?
I think you have to Drake, actually. You have to Drake into the armor guy, into fishes. Because otherwise you never clear, right?
But they are going to play Auctioneer and so on. How do we clear Auctioneer?
With the weapon.
Or Giant?
They don't have it. We have to hope that they don't have a good hand.
Man, we get so much armor though from the Dry Whisker. Like, then we
kind
can
of
hope
like
for
the
like a
weapon.
draw.
I like Drake.
I think I like the Whisker, then Fishes, and then Sulfurous.
Yeah,
personally. But do Whisker first.
Do we hit this so far?
I think we're supposed to hit a 4/4. How?
What? Do we just play all the burglars?
But if you play all the burglars, if they top deck the brawl, then yeah, it's gonna be really bad. But I think you have to go.
So So what do you like the most?
What about one giant?
What Auctioneer? Maybe the Auctioneer?
No, I don't like Auctioneer. I wanna Dagger this turn for sure.
And Prey in the patches?
Yeah.
I don't like playing the giant right now, because you can play it next turn.
I
wanna play the Swash.
Yeah, play the Swash first, let's go.
Yeah, coin that guy.
That better? Then you don't draw a card with Auctioneer.
I think it's better because yeah.
It's a big body on the
Then
next turn we can go.
We just go face or what?
No, face. Execute.
Yeah, execute.
I would say that's quite good.
That is a huge Gadgets and Auctioneer now. +5/+5.
It's quite big.
This is quite problem for Complexity.
A 6-mana 9/9 that draws you a card every time you cast a spell. Coming at you in Kobolds and Catacombs.
You mentioned the burst healing though of the Armorer Buddy Boy.
Yeah,
the 2-mana
the
2/2.
Dry Whisker Armorer.
Yeah, that's why I said Dry Whisker Buddy Boy.
Yeah,
Armorer Buddy Boy is also acceptable.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That armor I think bought them a considerable amount of time to try to get something done here. It was just the triple ambush plus the triple swashbuckler that Virtus.Pro picked up thanks to Mimic Pod. Really just compounding this pressure so much on a Complexity.
Yeah, and now Complexity is going to fish for some type of removal, maybe even sleep with the fishes because Primordial Drake is such an awkward play here. Let's see what they pick up. Curator. I'm pretty sure they're just dead if they play Curator. I mean, they're dead in a lot of ways unless they hero power something big.
They gotta hurry up too. I mean, this is like very little time left.
Yeah. They're gonna double execute.
Wow. That is not the hero power they envisioned.
Yeah, and now with double execute gone.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
Wait,
17, 18, 19.
That's lethal. They almost played the Gadget and Auctioneer, and that would have thrown away lethal because they wouldn't have had enough mana. Because they need to double Eviscerate and Dagger. So,
or that.
Or the Gorehowl.
Oh, they don't have the mana.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had the mana for Gorehowl. But they could have killed him over 2 turns. It would have been fine.
TJ's like, well, now you should forego the lethal. Because it's way cooler that way. Virtus.Pro answers back with Miracle Rogue. And back and forth we continue. A 3-2 lead for Complexity. If it continues on this trend, Virtus.Pro will end up winning the set. So Complexity has to answer back, and Virtus.Pro now on deck to potentially break serve.
I love the new Miracle Rogue. It's very similar to the Miracle Rogues of old. It just has like 1 or 2 more tools that really like make the deck shine. One of the things that was a weakness of Miracle Rogue in the previous meta was it would just run out of gas. You would have Arcane Giants and Edwin, and those were your threats. Now you have this sort of weird dynamic with the Faldori Shriners where you're putting this ambush in your deck, so it's even better to draw cards, and you have even more density of threats, and you can space them out more. So it's better against the hyper control decks that can exhaust you of threats.
Now that time, Virtus.Pro hit Jin. They hit 3 ambushes in a row. That is incredibly unlikely to happen, but I don't think that's why they won the game. I think they won the game just simply because they had enough pressure, and eventually they would have found that Auctioneer turn. Complexity was floundering around quite a bit at the end there.
They hadn't even played an Arcane Giant yet. They still had a ton of threats in their deck. Even if they had only picked up 1 of those ambushed 4/4s, those spiders from their deck, I think they still would have been in a good spot.
Yeah, there's something important I do want to talk about as we watch this insane back-to-back-to-back.
And 3. All 3 of the ambushes in their deck on a single turn. You were trying to do the math in your head, and it was like 1 in...
It's like 1 in 1,100 something. Like, it's approximately that number. Because there's 3 ambushes in there with 20 cards left. So you're looking at 6 and 2/3. 1 in 6 and 2/3. And then there's 19 cards left with 2 ambushes. So it's 9.5. 1 in 9.5. And then there's 1 ambush with 18 cards.
So then 1 in 18.
Or with 17 cards left. And yeah, so there's 1 in
18.
Yeah.
So
something like that.
Basically, you multiply all those together, you come up with an arbitrary number that doesn't matter because nobody cares. It's rare, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and it happened, by the way, in the first game of Trinity Series that we saw Strider played.
Yeah.
A big point to note with that card is when it plays itself, when you draw it, it does not count as actually playing a spell. It does not discount Arcane Giant, it doesn't fuel Auctioneer, and it doesn't fuel Combo. in that regard. You can Mimic Pot it, though. And if you Mimic Pot it, the first one will happen, and the second one goes in your hand. You play it for 4 mana, you get a 4/4 and draw a card.
Pretty cool.
Ooh, that's a nice little shot there.
All right, well now it's what do you go up against Miracle Rogue with? Traditionally, Miracle Rogue struggles with fast decks. Does Virtus.Pro have any more? Or sorry, does Complexity have any more fast decks in the lineup?
I will say that a fast deck will lose to drawing 3 ambushes in a row.
That is true, but you have to look at, you have to go back and say, well, Miracle Rogue traditionally struggles with this. Well, what else could you play against Miracle Rogue that's good?
Perhaps your own Miracle Rogue.
True.
I think there's a plethora of stuff that's good against this. I do think that with the loss of outright burst damage, that a removal deck can serve a very strong purpose versus Miracle Rogue. The one thing to look out for is when your opponent times together a chain of threats at the same moment. So picture Arcane Giants, for instance. Your opponent puts together a big Gadgetzan Auctioneer turn, and prior to this, you've been controlling tempo, blowing up your opponent's board. Perhaps you exhausted like a Frost Nova Doomsday or something, and the Arcane Giants hit. Those are the turns where you want to have freezes, that way you can buy enough time to actually clear off Arcane Giants. Removal decks do have a much different objective versus Miracle Rogue, but you can still be in the same style of gameplay, blow up all their stuff eventually.
Yeah, and also blow up all of their stuff until you're able to blow up them.
Yeah.
And that's traditionally what they do. It doesn't matter how many threats you have. If they play Frost Nova Doomsayer, they're buying themselves a turn where you're not doing it.
Now, granted, you're risking Bilespine Slayer in that regard.
Sure.
And that's always going to be a risk, but that's why it's important to have multiple freezes left over, is to fight back against it, and that is Secret Mage. Cabal Crystal Runner, a big tell of that.
Oh, yeah. And a couple of the tools that aggressive Secret Mages have received in the new set, I think Explosive Runes, which is a very aggressively themed secret. It deals, when your opponent plays a minion, it deals 6 damage to that minion. Any leftover damage is dealt to the opponent's face. So say you play Explosive Runes, your opponent plays SI7 Agent, it will kill it, and then deal the extra 3 damage to your opponent's face. So it's not only burn, but it also functions as a way to gain tempo. I think it's a great addition to the deck, and we've also been seeing the legendary weapon in the first day. It is one day, but we've been seeing the legendary weapon, Aluneth Mage, which 6 mana, at the end of your turn, draw 3 cards, which is just a great way. It takes up a whole turn usually, but one of the things about Mage and its weakness in the aggressive decks is that it runs out of stuff.
Yeah.
Incredible.
You think about it, it's like a personal Jeeves. And there it is in hand right now. Complexity's deck is very aggressively oriented, and that's quite important to know. I don't think that Aluneth really has a home in a controlling style of Mage deck. You're going to draw way too many cards.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to play them all. But in an aggressive build, that card can fuel a massive endgame push.
Yeah, a lot of times Mage gets to the point, aggressive Mages, where they need 1 burn spell. Well, how about 3 burn spells?
Oh, by the way, they just got another one with Explosive Runes. Yeah.
What to do?
It's quite good. The opening hand here for Complexity is quite interesting, though. A lot of different coin options available to them. And they're not playing against a super aggressive rogue tempo deck. They're playing against Miracle Rogue. So how does that shift their game plan? And what timing do they want to unleash like a big wave of spells or make that endgame push? Now, how much damage do they need to stave off in the early game? I think these are all valuable questions right now.
Just pass. It's going to hold. I don't know if I necessarily mind this, but let's go and listen in now to Virtus.Pro and see if they have any indication as to what this deck might be from Complexity.
Phase probably not.
No, if you want to play.
I think we have way too big of a curve.
Yeah.
As
I a fan.
We're gonna find out if they're chronologists.
I'm not so sure how the rest of this is gonna go.
An incredible discovery.
So Fan of Nice might be better.
I don't think so. I just want to push phase.
Oh, push face? You don't
Yeah,
want to trade?
and ignore the 2/3.
Yeah, just play so I go face. Seems decent.
Next turn we probably end up playing Fan of Nice. Like, this damage is super important.
Saucy Frostbolt?
I don't see anything else.
I wonder.
Yeah, we just have to play full board.
Yeah.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Yep.
Enough knives, we just win.
Enough knives, maybe.
Yeah, probably, and then we played this.
Yeah.
So we also play Burglar, right?
Hmm? Probably. I don't think
No,
we're
why
playing
would
the
we?
Minister.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, true. Left hand to join.
Problem is, like, now their secrets are kind of like Monka-S.
Nah, not really.
Well, I mean, we have 2 counterfeit coins. Is that explosive runes? We just play this plus the dude.
Yep. This one, right?
Never Blizzard.
No, I don't
It's
like
too
this.
expensive and
Oh, wait, that's true. Yeah. So Cold Thrusters is actually fine.
Yeah, just play this one. Yeah, in trade. If it's a mirror instinct.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
Ooh.
Wait.
It's not explosive runes. What is that?
Mm.
Not counterspell. It could be either spellbender
Ice
or
block.
ice block, maybe even.
But this is good.
There once was a man from Gilneas. Bring, bring.
What a pickup off the Swashbuckler for Virtus.Pro.
Frost Lich Jaina.
Look, that's not very good right now, but that can give them the opportunity to shift their game plan, which that's something you can rarely do with any deck, let alone into such a drastic shift in game plan for Virtus.Pro. I think that gives them quite an interesting way to maybe snag this game. The problem I'm seeing is that Complexity's mage deck is just very aggressive.
Yeah.
So the extra resources this Alunath is going to provide is going to launch a massive assault in the coming turns.
Yeah, now the question is, will they be able to use all these cards? They're drawn heavy. Arcanologist plus Kieran
No
Tor.
secret.
But they can get one with Arcanologist. I think that's the big thing. If they had drawn a secret, yeah.
Look, the way the math works out for the Cabal Crystal Runners, though, if they have to play Arcanologist to get the secret, and then they play the secret, they only have 1 mana left over.
It's going to be a little rough, but they can still space out these threats. And they're not under too much pressure right now. The one thing is that I feel like Rogue can do more with more resources than Mage can. A lot of times they can fit more in.
I would tend to say so as well. Rogue spells tend to be very cheap and utility-oriented, like very powerful utility that, you know, it's always impactful. Mage's utility is quite heavy and impactful on that end. And no secret here. Wow. Complexity would have had an insane turn if they had a secret here.
Well, a lot of options for Complexity. Let's go ahead and listen in and see what they want to do.
I think it is.
What to do?
How many cards do we have? 3, 6, 9. Yeah.
I think I would do that.
Yeah, I
And
think.
go for like a longer.
Yep.
Sets up also the. We could have just played the 2/3 rather than bold here as well.
I think you both. Because our hand's gonna be full as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Revel in the power.
Hey, we do.
Do we just play the 5-drop? Do we just go face and play the 5-drop?
Do we even go face?
Why not?
With Burglar. No,
Probably
What?
just. Yeah, we can just play the 5-drop, I guess.
Yeah, but attack with Burglar first. Wait.
We don't attack, right?
No, why not?
I mean, any buff is good.
Any buff here, Blazing of Kings. Like 1 damage doesn't matter, but if it's more,
Fuck.
Yeah, but at least it survived.
at least it survived. I wanna play Blood Mage, right?
3-2, not Blood Mage. Play the no, the left one.
Blood Mage cycles and okay, this is good.
Problem is that at some point they just throw out a bunch of like. They throw out their 0 mana things if they play a lot of secrets. That was bad. Why didn't you just play Dino Size?
Doesn't work. It's 5 or below.
We have many secrets.
I'm late. I'm late.
Okay, so we clear this again.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
Oh. Even against counterspell?
Let's make magic.
We don't.
Okay. We still do.
Prep with this. Or what?
You clear it, but you have to deal it. Yeah, to attack it with the face. Wait, maybe. Wait. Double eviscerate. Oh wait, one eviscerate.
No, shift, eviscerate. I wanna prep because we still have double counterfeit coin.
Yeah, sure. Prep shift, not prep with this.
Yeah.
Oh, it draws a card.
The right one.
Okay.
The right one, yo.
Can't you just like give this and then just Wildspine?
No, I think it's.
No, why? We don't have to play a minion.
Render. Okay.
I want more good removals now. Okay, now we do this.
Don't you draw the first?
What?
No, you wanna play the flare. Okay.
Yeah, I want a coin flare.
You face tank that, right?
I don't like that.
I think we do.
We just next time we just go Jaina, right?
Yeah.
They're out of their cheap cards. Jaina can actually be good now.
Holy moly.
They're not out of cheap cards quite yet.
No.
However, they don't have a secret.
They don't have a secret. They do have Arcanologist. They can go something like Arcanologist, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Secret, Medivh Valet. They develop a 2-3, 2-2-3s, a 3-2, and clear the board.
That sounds good enough to me.
They're going to start to get decked out. They're going to pull a secret out of their deck and then draw 3 cards at the end of their turn.
That is quite a good question, though. I mean, how much damage can they just simply launch at Virtus.Pro and not worry about burning away perhaps excess damage? You know, that's the thing, is I don't think that they're thinking necessarily about...
But another Explosive Runes is going to prevent Virtus.Pro from playing, like, anything.
Except for Jaina.
Excuse me. Except for Jaina. That's a possibility.
Does Explosive Runes say when they summon or when they play?
I think it's when they play, but honestly, I don't know.
We're going to find out, I think, because Virtus.Pro had said we just slammed the Jaina, right? And that looks good to me. But gosh, I mean, Complexity's got like their whole deck in their hand. Now, you have to be worried.
Especially leaving Sorcerer's Apprentice on the board, but what else do they do? Do they go for Gadget and Auctioneer? And then what if they spend 6 mana going for Gadget and Auctioneer and Explosive Runes is the secret? Then they're pretty much screwed. But let's go and listen into Virtus.Pro. I want to hear what they're deliberating about.
I mean, yes, I think.
You don't like it?
I don't think so, because they just fireball it and then we take minion damage.
Yeah, but we might just shift and then make a new minion next turn.
Yeah.
We might like shift Wildspine, Hallucination, something like that. Yeah, if they fireball and then jam us in the face for a lot, then it's a problem. On a spell.
Lead with Worm and then start glyphing.
Wait, do we have a portal set? We need to kill them as
I
soon
think
as
we want
possible,
to get
right?
the glyph value, because we need to kill them fast.
Wait,